Welcome to the Hard Rock Show. I'm Andrew.
Tim. Well, Brendan.
And I'm Dave.
Hey, we got there in the end after a slight lagging delay. I don't know what happened there, but all right. What a way to kick off what is going to be our 2020 Christmas special. So this is where we're going to be going through the Audience Choice Top 10 for the year that was 2020. So we've got a TV episode that goes to this, which is stuff called Clips, but in this one we're going to do the reviews that we didn't do during the year of what was nominated by the audience to make the final cut, and then we'll rerun the reviews that we did do just to flesh out and make a whole big top 10 list with a few honorable mentions tacked onto it as well. So that's what's going to be coming up for you over the next probably couple of hours, I would say, for the online broadcast of this one. Before we get stuck into that, our details are in the description of this, whether you're watching or listening to it. So please do find those and follow us across our social media platforms. It's the best way to keep up to date and also get involved in things like the polling that comes about with these episodes. Well, at the end of January, our next poll will be all to do with torturing us. So make sure you get involved in that. And if you've been so kind, please check out our Patreon page. Any support you give us via that platform would be greatly appreciated. And speaking of that kind of stuff, a big thank you to our amazing sponsors in Squidding, Screen Printing, Old Cult, and Rockstar Finance as well. Their details, again, are in the description of this too. So please find them, give them a follow as well. So like I said, this episode is our Audience Choice Top 10. So this is all determined by the voting that was done via all of our social media platforms. So we've added it all together and we'll run through it and see how we go. And we'll see how our ones match up against this next week. But before we get stuck into the honourable mentions, first off, how is everyone doing? Tim, how's your week been? It's only been a week since I've seen you. It's everyone else a bit longer. So how have you been?
Yeah, been all right. Just trying to keep cool the past few days. Keeping on.
Cool. And Brendan, it's been a little while for you. You've been a busy man, hard to track down.
Yeah, it's not easy for me in summer. So it's, it's sort of crack on through. No, but it's been good. I've been playing a bit of guitar again. I've been back on a skateboard again, which is smart at 45 and fat. We can all agree. So it's
possibly go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's been a bit of fun. Life's still pretty damn good.
What about you, Dave? You still off the drinks?
No. Back in the room.
Excellent. Cheers.
Yeah.
Hey.
I had my first social catch-up on that day with an old mate since lockdown. First time out. But yeah, back on the drinks in a big way. I did some drunken slip and slide, which is a lot of fun. Haven't done that since I was like 13.
All the videos.
Yeah. Drunken slip and slide at 13.
No, at 40. Haven't done slip and slide at all since I was 13. But yeah, drunken slip and slide at 13 would have been great. But yeah, it's a good time of year. I mean, everything's busy. It's hot, but I like the heat. I like summer. I like this time of year. Work's busy. And, yeah, be Christmas in no time. Get some time off work, which is fantastic. Get fat again. Yeah. I used to work in retail, so Christmas would be like, okay, day off, back to work early Boxing Day. Yeah. I didn't have time to relax, drink beer, and eat food and get fat. So I'm enjoying it now. Life is good.
Bring it on. Making the most of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Enjoy it while you can.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, this time of year for me is all about the end of year production, which is madness. I think for Adelaide, there's 3 episodes to get done. I've finished 2 of them today. And for Channel 31, there's the 2-hour episode, which is, already done into the network. There's a 6-hour episode, which we'll film after this, which is our last session for the year. And then there's a few, I think, or 2, I think, that'll do for the first 2 weeks of next year. Of course, it's a bit longer things. All in all, there's, I don't know, nearly 10 episodes, or more than 10 episodes worth, when you take into account the 6-hour episode, to get done at this time of year. So it's like absolute pandemonium on the editing side of things. But once we get through that, then it's like, okay, well, that's pretty much it for the year, and we just sort of shut up shop and go very, very quiet, apart from releasing whatever we can be bothered releasing online in the meantime. So that's what it's all about for me right now. But once we get through that, it'll be nice and cruisy through for the next couple of weeks until we hit Christmas. Got some people coming over for the first time next weekend as we do this as well. So it'll be nice to have some guests and that's all to celebrate one of our girls' birthday. So looking good. Weather getting good, and the only downside is the wind kicking up and fucking with our Christmas decorations. But apart from that, everything's good.
Yeah, I had to take my inflatables in as well. I think a week ago when it started kicking up. It's like I just set him up and I'm going to take him down.
Santa stacked his Harley a couple of times, so I had to deflate him. So, but I'll send you more photos so you get to see it all once it's all fully decked out. We've got a few more things to put up, but it's all pretty much there now, so it's all looking good.
Cool.
All right, so let's get on to it. Let's get into the top 10 of 2020 voted on by the audience out there. We're going to go through 5 honourable mentions first, normal routine over the years gone by. Now, we are doing things differently in 2020 because we wanted to our top 10s, including the audience first top 10 while Tim's doing the top. But we normally do it in January, but we're bringing it forward into December for the first time. We're going to continue to roll through it like this. I feel like it's better to finish in the actual year than to carry it over into the new year. So the first honourable mention, and this is all done in no particular order. Actually, it is kind of. But anyway, the first honourable mention is One Desire with Midnight Empire. And Dave, I don't think you got this one, did you?
No, I heard it. It was good. I just didn't get it reviewed.
All right, well, Dave, I'm going to stick you in the naughty corner.
Oh, I deserve it. I've been bad.
I'll see you again shortly.
Yeah.
All right, so now there's just us. I'll put that back to gallery review so what's going on. All right, so we have One Desire with Midnight Empire, 10 tracks for 51 minutes, the second studio album, The Finnish Band, released May 2020 by Frontiers Records, produced by guitarist Jimmy Westerlund, who also mixed and mastered this. Now, this one has quietly snuck into this year's special out of nowhere a bit from us because none of us really had this on our radar at all, I don't think. Maybe Nick might have done, but that might have been it, if anyone did. But yeah, anyway. Brendan, where did you land with this one?
Didn't do a lot for me, to be honest. I'm surprised. I don't know where this one came from at all. Well,
yeah.
It's not really. Yeah, so I'll just keep talking about this.
Just keep going, really, man. The microwave effect is kicking in.
Oh, fuck. All right, stop. When you guys just laugh, you make it worse.
All right, well, Tim, how about we go to you, and then we'll see if we can get Brendan back. So, Tim, where's this one?
All right. I think, although it's, maybe.
Look. Yeah, but we'll let it stabilise a bit.
Again, this was not on anyone's radar. I thought this was good, if not spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can see why people would like this because I thought it is very much rooted in sort of, you know, your classic stadium rock kind of thing. Very heavy, very chorus heavy, melody, synthy stuff. And if that's your forte, then you'll probably enjoy it. And the reason why I can see why people would like this is because there are hooks and all over this, and it's full of melodies and earworms and stuff. However, if you find, you know, because of that, it does have a little bit of a radio jingle effect as well, and it can get a little bit annoying. So it does turn into a little bit of a love it or hate it thing. But if it's your style, then I can see you really appreciating it and putting it into your top 10s. Yep. For me, not really though. 7 out of 10. It was pretty good. I can see why people like it, but it is not really my thing. After You're Gone was my highlight, and yeah, 7 out of 10.
All right, Brendan, you seem a little more stable now, so let's give it another go.
Well, we'll give it a go, but sort of largely what Tim said, particularly the jingle side of it. It just seemed very, you know, I've just heard it all before. You know, I was just going for the UM thing. And it's not that they're bad musicians, again, by any stretch of the imagination. As usual, I wish I had half the talent of these guys. But it just didn't jump out at me. Like, I'd like to know sort of how it snuck into the top 10s. Was there a bit of a groundswell of their fan base or something that sort of pushed it in? But
I think this is pretty across. Had a fairly solid, consistent following all the way through.
It was a bit of a nothing listen for me, and it, like I said, not bad, good, but just didn't stand out. So I gave it 6 out of 10. Down and Dirty and Shadow Man for the highlights for me.
Okay, cool. Well, I completely get what people are saying about this one. It's that melodic rock AOR kind of thing. It's got that European style that's been going strong for a few years now. You know, your big sonic hits, the synth is there. It's got some pretty hard-hitting guitar work for the most part. Beautiful vocals on it, though, and I really enjoyed the harmonies and layering in that respect. I thought the production was really good. Got plenty of sparkle, which is what you want for this style of music. Still got a nice warm bottom end, which is nice and refreshing for this sort of style. So it wasn't too been too bright and sparkly. It was pretty even overall, but everything was crystal clear in the process. The remarkable thing for me that I don't know if anyone's picked up on it was how the vocal could sort of blur the lines of which sex it was. It was harder to tell who was a male vocal or if there was a female vocal in there at some points for me. It might be just me, but it made me think it's actually a compliment because I actually would think it'd be really cool to get a band doing this sort of music, but if they had a co-male and female lead vocal to play off of each other on a show and on a record and stuff. So I think that'd be pretty cool. No, not one that does growls, one does clean, but both two pure clean vocalists that can do the harmonies and the duet sort of thing. Be a cool, interesting idea. But anyway, that's not really the case on this one, but it's just, put me in mind of it, which is actually kind of something I'd like to see. Some good tones, the layering overall was good on this. It's really warm. Like the acoustic moments were a stand in that regard too, how warm and bright they were on this. I thought the whole thing was crisp, including the sort of order and flow of the album itself. The pacing and tempo change is well thought out. It's a good album. It's really well done, actually. Nothing hard to fault. If this is your style of music, like Tim was saying, it's going to tick all the boxes for you. But if not, it won't really change mine. And that's kind of where the problem is, because as good as this is, and it is a good record, and there's talent on display, there's nothing here that actually cuts through and makes it, in my mind, like, it's cool the audience voted for it and go for it, go nuts and all sort of stuff. But for me, there's better albums in this genre by a long way. There's nothing. If you were to put this in a collection of this sort of music and go, okay, what makes this album jump out at you? I can't think of something that makes it jump out at you. It's a good album. It's very well done, but nothing really makes it stick out from the pack. And on the other side, too, it can also feel a bit longer than it actually is. There were songs that stretched out too much. The average length of the songs is 5 minutes, and the shortest track was 4 minutes and 1 second. So they could have culled a bit in that regard. Some things went on just a little bit too long. All in all, it's worth a listen. If this is your thing, it's going to really tick those boxes. If it's not going to change your mind. But it is very well done overall. It's going to be determined purely by taste, because there's nothing wrong with the performance or the production or the writing or any of those things. So check it out and make up your own mind. But I gave it an 8 out of 10. I also picked Shadow Man, same as Brendan. I picked Heroes and Down and Dirty as my standouts on this one. So we sort of got 7, 6, and an 8 out of that. So we'll see what happens with this. Now we're going to bring Dave back in, because I know he's got the next one, and I know he's very keen to do this one. When we can get him back in, there's a bit of a delay. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Hey, he's back. He's back. Hey?
Hope that review went well.
It went okay. Wasn't terrible. Not. It got like a 6 or 7 and an 8. So there you go.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It was the one that scraped into the Honourable Mentions. But now, Dave, we're going to get onto an album that I think is going to excite you very much, considering the chat we've had behind the scenes. We're going to move on to Girish and the Chronicles with their. Okay. Girish and the Chronicles have rocked the highway while Dave continues to lose his mind over this one. 13 tracks for 63 minutes. The second studio album, the Indian band, released April 2020 via Lions Pride Music. Self-produced by the band in their own studio. Not a heap of other info on this, but it was brought to our attention a while back earlier on this year by some of the fans who loved a particular song on this, which I'm sure will be a standout across the board. Dave, I'm going to make you wait because you didn't get the last one done. So, Tim, you go first.
I'm sorry, Dave. Look, we're up to the top 10s this year, or top 10s, the highlights of the year. And perhaps I was expecting more because of that.
Okay.
But I was listening to this and I was just thinking, like, I've heard better albums this year. It's not bad, but even like in this genre, I've heard better albums this year. Yeah, I thought it's cool. It's there. And like.
Yes,
it's cool, but if it's your thing, cool. That's your prerogative. But like I said, I think there is better albums in this genre. Now I'm going to get out and dodge. I'll give it 7 out of 10.
You were so lucky we're not there in person.
Dave's going to have a very long day at work tomorrow, I think. any standout tracks, Tim? Or
to be honest, this one all blurred together for me. Like I must have been in a shit mood listening to this, but yeah.
Oh, well, we know that Dave's going to gush. So, Brendan, let's go to you. Where do you land on this? Are you going to be the voice of reason on this, or are you going to be where you stand?
No. I'm a gusher. Get ready for some full-time gush. This is one of the best albums I've heard all year. It's one of the best albums I've heard in the genre for a decade. I reckon they nailed that sort of Skid Row, Slade to the Grind. You know, not quite into that fucking full-on metal, but you know, sort of walking line. It's beautiful. The singer is fucking phenomenal.
Soft metal.
So soft metal.
Metal rock.
It's like,
On that border.
This is just a pretty bloody special listen, I thought. And for the time, I think it was Tim Caddison was the first one to put me onto it.
He was the one that was.
And just it made you sit up in your chair a bit because it gets a bit. There is that sort of melodic chorus side of it, which is going to be a bit off-putting for some, but you sort of add that in with the phenomenal solos and the incredible vocals, and I don't give a shit. I'm just in my happy place. Yep. So, yeah, I look, it's well worth a listen. If you like rock and metal at all, check it out. 9.5 out of 10 for me. It's right up there. Every Night Like Tonight, She's heavy metal, which is great. And Rock the Highway, of course. It's an unforgettable track. It's good, really good.
All right, Dave, how about it?
Finally. So this is self-produced, is it? They recorded it in their own studio. Fuck, it's well done.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. At all. I really screwed up with this. I heard a song back in April when it was released. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I like the song. I'll give the album a listen when I get a chance. And I never got back to it until a couple of days ago. And my God, I fucked up because now that I finally got to listen to this is fucking fantastic. Who said nothing good came out of 2020? This is the rock album we have needed for a very, very long time. Big sounding riffs, anthemic choruses, party songs, killer vocals. This guy, fucking hell, he can sing. And not only does he have the technical ability, he's got some personality, which you really don't have that anymore. People are fantastic singers. They don't have personality, and this has it in spades, man. And there were some killer guitar solos throughout this. It made me want to pick up the guitar and learn how to play all over again. Like, go back to scratch and just like, I want to get to that level. Cool. I haven't heard a rock and roll album sound this fresh and inspired in a very long time. Reminded me of when I first heard rock and roll and it was all new. And it was almost like the 90s never happened, but it's not exactly a throwback to the 80s. It's this band taking everything that was awesome about the decade and putting their own unique spin on it. With a little touch of what I think is traditional music in India. They've bled that throughout, which is pretty cool. The singer's heavily influenced by Axl Rose, Steven Tyler, and Bruce Dickinson, and you can hear that all the way throughout. And I couldn't think of a better free vocalist to be influenced by. When people just want to whisper or scream and there's no real talent in singing, this guy, some of the covers he's done on YouTube are phenomenal. The talent within these musicians is undeniable, and if you're not impressed by this, you probably don't like rock and roll. And if you don't like rock and roll, you're a dickhead. But you're wrong. It's not just the impressive guitar solos or the amazing vocals. Most importantly, they know how to write interesting and engaging songs.
Yeah.
And you can have all the talent in the world, but unless you can write a great song, it doesn't mean shit. And there were so many memorable moments throughout this album where I was like, I had that wow factor, and I haven't had that for a very long time. It's like, what's this riff? Where did it come from? Or what's the bass player doing? Oh, that was a sick drum fill. That fucking solo is off the charts. Or holy shit, those vocals. But there's some very intricate musical sections throughout. And it's just like before a solo would be there, they smack in this riff. And it's just like, well, that's cool. And they got this slap bass thing happening. Yeah. The song Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay, there's a nice subtle use of the keys throughout. And they kind of keep coming back to that. And it's very subtle, but it kind of keeps the track around. And it's a really good composition trick.
They used it more towards the back end of the album too, which is cool.
Yeah, and a lot of bands could learn. And they take it down a notch with the song Distance in Between. And damn, that's a good ballad. And that fucking solo is off the charts. There's nice use of piano too, and some of the backing vocals before it kicks back in towards the outro. And I like how as the album progresses, the songs become a lot more progressive as well. They become longer and more complex. That's a great way to show off your musical chops. Get them in with a punchy, quick, easily accessible, what should be played on radio songs, and then just say, hey, we can show off our chops, but it's not exactly showing off your chops for the sake of saying, hey, I'm a great musician. It's to serve the song. And I've always said, if you're a musician, play your fucking instrument. None of this less is more crap. Almost done. Tears of the Phoenix and Identity Crisis both have outstanding composition. This song's fantastic. But it's really hard to pick standouts throughout this, but I'll give it a go. Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay, Distance Between Us, Bad Shepherd, She's Heavy Metal, Trapped Inside a Memory, Tears of the Phoenix, and Identity Crisis. 10 out of 10. Fucking love this. It's amazing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and follow that up. I think Dave has summed it up for anyone and everyone that loves this album. It's the melodic hard rock full of hooks, but the prog influence is undeniable on it. Vocals are the attention grabber, as has been covered off. But around that, there are no weak links. Every element on this is so well performed, and the talent is fucking brilliant. I like the lead work, the pulsing rhythm section. I loved how the energy was in that aspect of it. The hooks get stuck in your head really quickly. It touches of everything from the 80s through to today. None of it is tired. You get so many bands do this sort of music and they're relying too much on the tropes to get them through. This has all the energy and it's all really refreshing to listen to this stuff because it's not formula. You just feel them playing. I don't know how to describe
it. Not playing with numbers or anything.
Yeah, you can just feel them playing from their heart, and I fucking love the way they did it. I think the lyrics and the attitude go with the hooks on this fantastic. The vocal is put to me in mind a bit of Michael Starr, and musically with a bit of prog, I reckon this is, we've talked before in the past about, if Steel Panther were to be a serious band, this is kind of what I think you'd get.
Yeah.
With a bit of prog mixed into it as well. So, that it's sort of like Steel Panther meets Rush to mine in a little bit in the music sense.
With much better vocals.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I know you hate the vocals, so I'm not for Rush. It's not a direct comparison. It was more about the music. I love the mix for a self-produced record. This is fucking stunning. Fantastic tones, great panning. Doesn't matter how you listen to it. It's in the car, through little headphones, through tinny fucking laptop speakers, whatever. This sounds great. Push and pull, the composition and the dynamics is fantastic. It has everything. It has, the belters, the ballads, epics. It's all well done. I think this is incredibly well-rounded that everyone has to listen to at least once. I reckon anyone and everyone can find at least one song on this to enjoy it. And once they find that one song, they're probably going to find a half dozen or more to enjoy on this one. Like I said, we were talking before about the back end of the album become more interesting. That was a good way to go through it as we went through. I can't wait to see what they do next. I loved it as well. 10 out of 10 from me. Identity Crisis, She's Heavy Metal, and Tears of the Phoenix, my standouts on this. Tim, you're on your fucking own here, pal.
There was too many ballads. It's just
ballads. There's like a couple.
Tim,
like
open up your cold dead heart occasionally, will you?
Yeah, could not get into this at all.
It's got it locked up in the dead man's chest. It's in fucking Davy Jones' mouth. His heart's gone.
Fuck.
All right.
Damn it.
Anyway, we're gonna take a little break from this part here because the next review to come into the honourable mention side of things was Blackstone Cherry with The Human Condition. I'm not sure. It was me and Tim that reviewed this one.
Yes.
Did either of you have any thoughts on the album before we throw to that review, or is it sort of misused? No. All right, cool. Well, and without any further ado, then we'll cut now to go to Tim and me talking about this album yet again. Enjoy. Do that again. Time for the main event of the evening, and we're moving on to Blackstone Cherry with The Human Condition. 13 tracks for 46 minutes. It's the seventh studio album of the American band released October 2020 via Mascot Records, produced by bassist John Lawhorn at his Monocle Studios. We've had a lot of love for this band in the past over the years, so let's see how this one stacks up. And that's why I was asking you earlier on about where you would land on this. I'm curious where you will sit with this one, Tim. So over to you.
All right, so I try to be fair with interviews, so let's do it. I don't know too much about Blackstone Cherry. I know I've seen an interview. I think you've interviewed them, haven't you?
Yeah, I've interviewed them, I think, 3 times now.
Yes, I've seen you interview them. I think they had a couple of songs on an old SmackDown versus Raw game.
Maybe, yeah.
And I think that's pretty much all I've really known about Blackstone Cherry. Apart from that, I do know they are a very successful band.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well for themselves.
Especially in that sort of American rock radio, kind of heartland stuff. So my thing with this album is it's going to depend on what your attitude is going into it.
Yeah,
and what I mean by that is there's some radio candy on here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's a couple of ones, and I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's one or two tracks that sound like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Okay.
But like, if you, and that's what I mean by it depends on what your attitude goes into. If you can overlook that, for the most part, it goes pretty well.
See, I'm coming from a place of love for this band. My interactions with them are going to color my perspective in a big way.
That's what I mean. It's like, for the most part, it goes.
Yeah.
It just depends on your attitude. I mean, if you're going to focus on the ballads and the stuff like that, then you're gonna focus on it. But if you take a step back and listen to it for what it is, it does go very well. And what I was going to say with the ballads, I mean, like there's 2 or 3 on here, but like there's one like If My Heart Had Wings.
Yep.
Which is actually a pretty good one for all things considered. And the fact of the matter is, the reason why I say, because I know these guys are successful, and from a purely business standpoint, people got to listen to it.
Oh yeah.
And when you're at a point where these guys are, if I were them, I'd look to have that 1 or 2 bits of radio candy on there as well, because at the end of the day, that's what pays the bills.
It worked for Nickelback. It worked for 3 Days Grace. 3 Doors Down. Sorry. Like.
I don't know. Like, I reckon this is better than that.
Yeah, I would. Don't worry, I'm not lumping him in the same category as that, but I get why someone that would be a critique.
But I mean, yeah, this is for a professional band touring, making a career. I think this is almost like a perfect album.
Yep.
In the sense that there's enough singles to get a year's worth of traction and a year's worth of touring, a year's worth of income, and there's enough on there where
deep cuts are going to please.
The deep cuts are going to please people, and it's not going to piss off your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's just a really well executed, solid rock album. And that's my review on this. I think, I don't have too many complaints about it. I think Some Stories is my highlight.
Cool.
On the back of the album, just because I'm a sucker for a chunky guitar tone and a strong backbeat.
Don't worry, it was one of mine as well. Yep.
Yeah. Great track. Yeah, it's a really good album. 8 out of 10.
Beautiful. This is a pretty vanilla episode. We're both in agreement in a lot of respect. Look, I'm coming into this band, like I said before, with a lot of love for these guys. Having hung around with them, interact with them, like, they are lovely people, which is first and foremost in my mind. And they haven't got a bad album. And some of their songs are fantastic over the years. I don't think this is their strongest record, but I think it's a very solid record. This one's a little more tight than previous records have been. It's a little bit less of the sort of the looser kind of a groove they play with it. They've got a sharper execution focus on this one, which they were never sloppy at all, never even close. But this is just a slight tightening up of doing things in their own studio, I guess. Chris Robertson, the vocalist, he is fantastic for mine. I think his vocals and his lyrics are always on point. I love his storytelling, but also his emotion in the voice. Where they put the vocal on this mix is really good too, and some of the backing vocals and how subtly they're put in the background is really well done. Some nice hooks on this, not only in the vocals, but also in the melody, like the lead guitar stuff was really well done too. And the use of tempo changes in the space was well done as well. The little stops for dramatic effect. Yeah, you've got that hook part thing. You can tell it'll go off live because you can draw those out that little bit more to get the pop. But that was really well done. That bit of drama is always good in your songwriting skill set. This is a little bit less blues based or southern based than their previous work, or particularly the last one, Kentucky. It's a little more of the mainstream US rock radio kind of thing going for it. If you like rock music at all, and this is an album or a band you haven't checked out in any way, shape, or form, please do check it out. Because if you like rock music, Blackstone Cherry are going to have something for you somewhere in their catalogue for sure. They still have that southern twang that never goes away, which I am a big sucker for the southern rock and southern metal thing. It's a huge thing for me. It never goes away. I love it. But this one goes through some nice peaks and troughs on the overall album too. It builds up nicely. I found it was a bit of a slower burn kind of a record. It started off a little bit sedate, and then it sort of kicked through the gears and gave a bit of a payoff toward the end.
Because of that, I actually found it got better the more I listened to it as well.
Yeah, and on the repeat cycle,
you kind of appreciate the climb a little more.
Yeah, it might not be your first listen wow effect, but the more you sit with this one, it's like, okay,
yeah,
you get it, and once you're on for the ride, it makes it a lot more enjoyable for you. I love the groove and the swing this band has. The chunky riffs on the same side of that, like on the as a counterpoint, are really great too. I thought the production was nice, but it might be a bit too mid-focused. Just missing a little bit of the kick. I thought that the kick drum effect wasn't really punching through quite enough. Everything's really well captured. Thing is, I love the bass guitar tone and where that sat in the mix, and the guitar tones are great. The vocals are mixed well. I don't know. I just didn't feel like the drums came through quite enough. I don't know, where did that sit?
I'd have EQ'd them a little differently, just to work around that bass tone a bit more. But
a bit more top end on the kick.
Yeah, but that's really nitpicky.
Yeah, that's me. I'm nitpicky. Yeah. Sort of. If you don't know by now, and this is your first time watching or listening to us, I pick on production like nothing else. That is my thing. But that said, overall, this is well mixed. There are some really nice moments overall captured and presented on this record. I love how the string section worked on things like If My Heart Had Wings. That's the song you referenced before. The string section, that was great. That's a perfect radio single. And the cover of Don't Bring Me Down by ELO was a pretty well done version of it too. I didn't mind that.
That's the other bit I forgot to mention. That I popped for that.
Yeah, you got off on that too?
Yeah, when it took me a second to go, hold on, wait a minute, I know this song. It's done. I can see this happening though, like in a club with 600 people in it, that would just go off.
Yeah. No, they do some really good stuff in that regard, and I reckon live it'll go off. It'll be fantastic. And if
it's a bit cheeky.
Live, have you? You haven't seen them live, have you?
No.
Mate, you got to see them live. They're fucking phenomenal live.
Yeah.
I think like that cover is something a little bit different from this band. I haven't heard that before, and I like there was a little bit of a bongo touch in that. Like there was some really subtle things going on. I like but the mix on that song, I would have loved to have heard that mix on the whole record. I don't know where, but it's not a huge difference. Just something about it just sat really differently. I don't know. I like the guitar, I like the bass on this. Everything was good overall. I'm being really picky, like I said before. I like the little lead guitar touches on this. Nothing over the top, dramatic, but just enough to give it a flash. But it was all very, very tasty at the same time. But every performance from this band, I don't think you can fault the performance from drums, bass, guitar, vocals, none of it. I think performances are bang on.
This is a very solid, well-worked band.
That's why I say you see this band live and you'll get it. I reckon when they come here again, we're going. I've got to take them.
All right then.
You got to come with. They're great. Like I said before, it's a bit of a slower burn kind of an album. May not grab you immediately on the first pass, and I think that even now with the score that I've given it, I reckon it'll probably go up over time. It's one of those albums that'll sit with you a bit. But this is still a very, very good album. I really like it. If you like rock, like I said, at all, especially if you like the southern twist on things, this is one to get into. I got an 8 out of 10. I picked The Chain, Live This Way, and Some Stories, same as you. All right, we're back from that one. We're going to move on to, we've got 2 more honorable mentions to go through, and one of them is a band that this show has very much a love-hate relationship with. And I'm actually surprised they made it into the honorable mention part of this year, but their fan base are obviously very well engaged. Now, their last few albums, I would agree with it, but this one I'm not as convinced on. You'll get our thoughts in just a second. But it is Stryper with Even the Devil Believes.
So, yeah, love hate. Yeah, the fans hate me.
Yeah, so I don't think we need to drag over old ground us here today we've done it already in our previous review. So I think we'll throw to that one right now, and you can leave us your thoughts as we go along.
So this week we have Stryper with Even the Devil Believes. 11 tracks for 46 minutes. The 13th studio album, the American band, released September 2020 by Frontiers Records, produced by Michael Sweet. This one comes out after the last albums were generally pretty well received here at the show, and it's probably a good thing we don't have Dave with us tonight, going on previous history. But we are going to rip the bandit off. Brendan, you're going to go first on this one.
Am I?
Yes.
Did you say produced by Michael Sweet?
Yes.
Sounds fucking like it. Look.
Really? You don't rate him as a producer?
I barely rate him as a singer, but that's a whole nother story. I've never been a Stryper fan, and it's not just because of the subject matter, although that doesn't fucking help. This is just hard to listen to. And, even the song titles sound like they come out of a hymn book, and the lyrics are even worse. So it makes it really hard to listen to if you think like I do. It's really hard to be sort of subjective on it. So I try to sort of block all that out and listen to the music, because I know there is certainly a section of the metal community that likes to defend Stryper. They're going, hey, they're great. If you put that aside, they're fantastic.
Yep.
But if this album's anything to go by, they're not. The riffs are solid, but the guitars are really pushed back. The vocals are pushed way too far forward. It's basically almost vocal and drum. So the fact that, some of the Michael, what's his name? Michael Sweet.
Michael Sweet, yeah.
Produced it. I'm going, yeah. This is like the Justice for All for fucking Stryper albums. He's just pushed forward exactly what he wants to push forward. And it sounds shite. And the lyrics are awful. And the whole thing just sounds really fucking contrived when the end of it. There were some really good riffs, but they haven't transposed the riffs into good songs. Again, lyrical content aside, good songs aren't there for mine. So if you're a Stryper fan, you might like it. If you're not, it's not going to change your mind. Yeah, I'll give it a 2.
No standouts?
Nah.
No. All right, Tim, follow it up.
So again, I went into this thinking I was gonna be fair.
Yeah.
And I want to be fair. So I thought, there were some good performances on here overall, but the thing that made it really hard was the mix.
Okay.
So what happened, what I think happened was, so the way it's mixed is you got a really big drum sound and the big bass sound, and the vocals are pushed right to the front, and the guitars all the way back. But what's happened is you've got really, basic 4/4 drum beats, and the bass is following along with that. But most of the musical interesting stuff is happening in between the guitars and the vocals. But what's happened is they've gone for that hair metal guitar tone, which is really trebly and tinny, which clashes with the vocals. And when you got to pick one or the other, you go for the vocals. So that's pushed the guitars all the way back, and you can still kind of hear them, but they kind of do clash with the vocals. And because of that, because the guitars are so far back, you lose any potential interesting part of their songwriting because the mix just doesn't work. If this was mixed like an Alter Bridge album with a much meatier guitar tone and proper, mixed so that it allows the vocals to cut through without having to push them right to the front and push everything else to the back, then you might actually have a good album. But because of this, and I don't know why they've made this decision, that Michael Sweet produced it, maybe something to do with it, it just didn't work.
Okay.
He may have prayed for a good mix.
Yeah, it worked as well as the Pope's coronavirus blessing. I'll give it a 6. There's no real standouts. It's okay. There's decent performances all over it, but it could have been much better just with a bit more effort.
I think they did mix a trick with the mids. I think the mid-range doesn't help it. But I think that overall, And the thing that first stood out for me is that Michael Sweet's approaching 60, and he can still, I know maybe Ren doesn't rate him as a singer, but I think he's still able to hit the notes and do all the things that he does. People may not like his tone. That's down to taste more than anything else, but I think his ability to hit notes and have a range is still very much there and strong.
His melody choices are very cheesy too. You know,
That's always been the case, though. That's nothing
Yeah,
new.
no, I'm not saying he can't sing. He obviously can sing, but you know, like I just don't find him pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, I figured that. It's not the most like when you're listening to it. The letdown with Stryper as a general thing is that musically, like I put aside the lyrics because I think that for a while now they've actually done a pretty well balanced job of making it more about a celebration as opposed to a preachy kind of attitude on balance. Like they do a very much a case of we have faith and we're celebrating it. And I'll respect that until the cows come home. As long as you're not trying to force it down my throat, then I don't care. I'll deal with it however you like. But I think they did that part pretty well. They have done for a few albums now.
The third track is called Let Him In.
I know, but if you listen to the lyrics deeply, like it's about more about the impact as opposed to it's a suggestive sell tactic as opposed to a door knocking tactic. Does that make sense?
All I could think is like faith plus one.
Yeah, very faith plus one.
So I get all those criticisms, but I've been able to sort of park that stuff for a while now. Because the last two albums from Stryper actually really impressed me. I thought they were pretty bloody well done, the last two in particular. This isn't as strong as those two, though. And, yeah, they did miss a trick with the mix in the mids. I think having the Alter Bridge mix would make it a lot better. But overall, I didn't mind it. I think they've got some nice use of space. Like, nothing here is going to be overly, oh, my God, wow, creative. But they do have a shtick that they've gone for and all that sort of stuff. And I think they do it pretty well overall. Are they the world's most mind-blowing metal band? No. And they never have been. But they do enough to make it at least good. And it's, you know, and to good to great kind of thing in how much you can enjoy the riff work and all sorts of stuff. Yes, the mix didn't help that, but the actual, when you dig into it, and I'm listening through these awesome headphones here that I've got that just really allow me to dig into it a lot deeper. Maybe that's a different representation I'm getting out of it. I didn't mind the mix because I was still able to pick up enough of what was going on. I know that I missed a trick there, but I still think it overall did all right. I didn't mind the hooks. I know it's cheesy, but I thought they were well done. It does have the whole earworm effect, which is what a hook is supposed to do. It's supposed to stay with you. And I thought that, you know, they did a nice job in writing the songs of letting things ring out. They didn't just always make it crammed and busy. They had moments where things sort of spaced and played out in the environment, so to speak, that they created for it. And I think that was really nice to know. So it didn't make the album a one-trick pony, and that was cool too. They had like the ballads and stuff in there, which you expect, but, you know, they wrote some really good songs. Not all of them are fantastic, but they wrote some really good ones on this one. This won't win new fans. That's a given. I think at this point in time, Stryper aren't even trying to win new fans. They probably shouldn't even be trying to, but they still have enough here to make their existing fans more than happy for mine. And as I've gotten to know their discography better over the years, I find this to be one of the better ones of their catalogue, especially when you compare their last three to their first three, for example. You can see there's a leap of how far they've come from the time when they started to where they are today. Not as good as the last two, but I think it's still a record worth listening to. I don't think you should dismiss this one. I know that it's going to be challenging for some people to listen to this sort of stuff. And yes, Brendan and Tim are going to disagree with me on this. But I think it's worth checking out to make up your own mind for. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Even the Devil Believes, This I Pray, and Forgotten Rock and Roll. And yes, that's cheesy as all hell, but
This I fucking pray.
Yeah. But the reason why I chose that song is because there's a great hook in it. Like, the melody of that was really cool. I thought ultimately, on balance, that's one of the purest forms of him celebrating what he believes, as opposed, and also it was much less ran down the throat kind of mentality than a lot of the other songs on the record as well. I think lyrically that was very sort of, to the neutral listener, one of those ones you could, I know the title is off-putting, but the lyrics themselves would be, it's easy to get into. You know, I want to hear what actual long-term Stryper, I know people are going to hate on us for this review, and that's okay, but I want to hear what long-term Stryper fans think of this particular record and where it ranks, because I think Fallen and To Hell with the Devil, the last two, particularly Fallen was a belter of a record. I don't think this one stacks up to the previous two, but it is still a solid record. So I want to see where the actual Stryper fans land on this one and see if
Comment away.
Yeah, they will. Don't worry. They will. We know they will.
We're back. We've got one last honourable mention to get through before we go to the top 10s. This is one we have done before, and it got mixed reviews from us here because some of us liked us and some of it really didn't like it. I have a feeling that for one of us, this will be the most disappointing release of the year. Talking about Corey Taylor with CMFT. This was a very interesting review when we got around to doing it. So without any further ado, we'll throw to that one now.
The main event of the evening, we're going to go moving on to Corey Taylor with CMFT. This is 13 tracks, a 47 minutes of debut solo record from the vocalist, obviously most known for his work in Slipknot and Stone Sour. Released October 2020 by Roadrunner, produced by Corey Taylor and Jay Rustin. This one comes after some of the singles released were met with some mixed feedback, even from us here behind the scenes. So let's throw to you, Brendan. You're the most vocal fan of Slipknot that I know, or one of the most vocal. So let's go to you with your thoughts on this album first.
And Stone Sour for that reason.
Yeah.
Love them both. They're two of my favourite bands. You know, love Corey. This was different. So, yeah, if you're going expecting a Slipknot or a Stone Sour album, you ain't going to get it. Mm-hmm. So, me even being a devotee, it took a couple of spins to see what was going on. Now, I probably unfairly gave this more listens than I would have if I didn't, you know, if it was Steve Taylor. I probably would have dismissed it pretty early. Because it was Corey Taylor, we all have our little biases and our favourites, and he's one of mine. So I gave it more time and I gave it more air. And the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it, because I'm thinking you've got to take it for what it is. It's a solo album.
Yeah.
He's not trying to make a Slipknot album. He's not trying to make a Stone Sour album. He's having fun recording some songs that he wants to record.
Yep.
So once I sort of got my head around it, I find myself enjoying it more and more. Having said that, there are a couple of really, really flat spots on it.
Okay.
That there's just a couple of tracks that I think just don't hit the mark. But again, he's, you know, his thing. He's doing his thing. Whatever. It's okay. It sounds amazing. The opening track on it, Highway 666, I actually love more and more every time I hear it. I fucking love that song. It's really, really good.
It's a good opener.
The CMFT Must Be Stopped one is kind of funny. If you don't like that rap rock thing, you're not going to like it. Now, I don't mind some of that stuff, and to me it sounds very like when Five Finger Death Punch did Mama Said Knock You Out. It's kind of got that tongue-in-cheek thing, so I can enjoy it on the way it's being presented. I think
it's his own wrestling theme song.
That's right. Yeah. And, you know, it's not like he's trying to be fucking or not trying to come across as a wanker. I mean, he's carrying that bloody title belt on all the videos. He knows he's being a bit of a dick with it.
He's playing it up.
He's playing it up. He's having a bit of fun. And for those reasons alone, I found it pretty cool. Not amazing. You know, it's not up there with some of his finest stuff with either of his other two bands. But, you know, if he wants to do another Slipknot or Stone Sour album, he can. He's had a crack at the solo album, and I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. But I am expecting a lot of people to fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So, you know, take it on face value. Take it what it is. It's all a bit tongue in cheek. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think you should give it a listen. I gave it 8.5 out of 10 in the end, but it took me probably 3 or 4 listens to get to that.
Okay.
It didn't happen on the first pass. Highway 666, CMFT Must Be Stopped, and Culture Head were my highlights.
Nice. Good tracks. All right, Tim.
All right, so before we start, I'm going to say some things that are hyperbole. And before you blame me for that, just remember, A, Corey Taylor is playing a heel, so you should expect it. Secondly, Corey Taylor is prone to hyperbole. So, yeah. So first things first, like, to be serious for a minute, I actually enjoyed a lot of this album.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very well recorded. Again, if you're expecting a hard rock album, it's not it. It's, you know, very, very country in a lot of ways, actually.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, there's something very pure about it, because you could kind of see Corey Taylor just sitting on the couch with an acoustic guitar, you know, plugging these songs out and then just filling in the spaces around it.
Yep.
And for that, in that respect, there's a lot to like about it. And again, it's Corey Taylor. His voice is phenomenal. A lot of power, a lot of great tone. Really knows how to use it as well. And you know, a lot of his melodies are great. My one little criticism, I didn't like how the drums were recorded.
Okay.
They're recorded really well, but they are recorded, you know, that big sort of very heavy, isolated hard rock tone. I think for this, I would have much preferred to see like an old school Bonham-y kind of sound, you know, just room mics and big bass drums kind of stuff. Or either that or like a, you know, just a modern pop kind of recording, because that would have been something for me, would have suited it much better.
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean. I didn't pick up on that.
You know,
I get what you mean.
But, you know, that's not to say they sounded bad. It's just for me, they sounded a little like they were competing with the vocals in the context of the rest of the songs.
Yep.
All right, CMFT Must Be Stopped is the worst fucking song I've ever heard in my entire life.
Come on, it's funny.
All right, now,
You're
here's
both
what I think
Biscuit
happened.
fans. How can we get such a diverse opinion on this? And wow, okay.
So here's what happened, right? Here's how this song was put together. Corey Taylor and the producer sat in a room, and they had this groovy beat. They went, oh, man, remember that new metal thing, man? We should be doing this thing again, you know? And then they put down the crack pipe and, you know, went to bed. And then Corey Taylor decided, because he's Corey Taylor, fuck, man, Kansas City just won the Super Bowl. Let's get Tech 9. He's from Kansas City.
Oh, no.
Let's put him on the track. And then because he's Corey Taylor, Tech 9 showed up and put down a verse on the track. And because he's Corey Taylor, nobody said, that sounds like shit. They all just went, this is fucking awesome. Let's keep going. And then they sat there and they went, okay, we need a hook, you know? Oh. So I just watched the Wu-Tang Clan documentary, and he was always like, you know, we always need a hook. We go to Method Man. And that's where we got the, you know, cash fools everything around me and all that stuff. And they went to Corey Taylor and they went, you can't be stopped, Corey Taylor. You're Corey motherfucking Taylor. CMFT. Because that's what middle-class suburban white people think rapping is.
Yeah. It is, isn't it?
This song can get fucked. This is easily, without a shadow of a doubt,
wow,
the worst song I have ever heard in my entire life.
Wow, that's saying something, dude.
It's funny.
Right?
From a wrestling
However,
fan
the
as
rest
well.
of you, fuck, man, you comparing Real American to this?
He's a better rapper than
Jimmy
John
Hart.
Cena, man. Come on.
Jimmy Hart is fucking Paul McCartney. At this point.
Wow. Jesus.
But, like, yeah, so...
You want to go new metal?
Honestly,
go get grill at least.
I would describe this album as a complete roller coaster of a listen. But like I said, the first half I actually really enjoyed. Got a little bit samey towards the middle, but yeah, it fell off a cliff at the end there.
Wow.
I'd suggest the placement of the lead single suggests that they maybe regretted some of their decisions. Highway 666 is my highlight. So I feel bad saying this, but I'll give it a 7 because it's actually a higher than a 7 if you take out that song. It's actually a very good listen. If you go in not expecting a hard rock album. So again, Corey's great, but yeah, that song sucks.
I think we finally traumatized Tim. gave him some battle scars at last.
It's a great riff in that song too. One of the guitar
I don't
riffs.
mind it. It's a bit of dumb fun. That's all right.
Yeah.
This whole album's a bit of dumb fun, ultimately.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, these ones are always interesting because when someone has a body of work behind them, they go and do their own solo thing, there's always that part where people go, I want to hear what I fucking know. And I get that. But the point of doing these records is because these songs that are written will not fit on the main gig. So they've got to be out of this system and just get it done. That doesn't always work out. In this case, I thought it was done pretty well. This has a bit of everything from that sort of rap metal, which has been covered by Tim so well.
Well, thoroughly. I know about well.
Thoroughly. He broke that down really nicely. But it's got that almost country stuff in between. A fair bit of Southern influence in this, which I thought was a bit of a surprise to me personally. But vocally, it sort of worked for him going in that area as well. This is the definition of a solo project in that it's nothing like his main band. So if you want a Slipknot or a Stone Sour record, don't listen to this. Production and performance is pretty bloody good on this. You would expect no less than sort of having, you know, consummate professionals around him. I loved how deep and warm this was in tone overall. Everything from the stripped back vocals and the acoustic guitar through to the heavy stuff, it all sounded really well done. And it actually, as a complete listen, worked in the context of an album. I thought the balance between the top and the bottom end really allowed for the vocal to stand out in the mid-range. I do get what Tim said about the drums a bit, but for me, it didn't bother me. I thought it was still cut through nicely. His tone has a way of being able to do that for me. It's got that grit and that sparkle contrasting really nicely here. I thought the writing was pretty good here too. Everything was well honed. It served its purpose. It felt like an album as opposed to a complete mishmash of songs. I didn't mind the track order and layout. I thought it was all pretty well thought out. You know, is it the best thing ever? No, it's not going to be the best thing ever, but it's pretty fucking well done. I'll agree with Brendan, though. It is one of those ones that grows me over time. The first sort of pass may or may not grab you, especially if you're going in there with any sort of expectation. But if this doesn't grab you at the start, or if the singles don't get your attention, this is one of those albums where if you persist with it, there's something there for pretty much anyone. You know, even
the single choices are actually strange.
Sorry?
Like, the choices of singles are really strange.
I wouldn't have picked those.
I can see why released, you know, CMFT as like a teaser.
Yeah, it's not your main one though.
But what's the single Black and Blue or whatever it's called? Like,
Black Eyes Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Eyes Blue.
Now I know it's radio friendly, so I guess that's why. Because even, dare I say, Triple M are even fucking playing it.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm sort of like, well, okay, I can see why, but it's not a highlight on the album by a long stretch.
No, it's not.
I would suggest they would have, you know, with a couple of exceptions, Triple M would have played most songs that were the lead single.
No,
they
would have played a lot of them. They
played song number 3 off the last Stone Sour album. Yeah, and
that had the biggest hook they've probably ever done.
Yeah, and they played that one that was on the Dave Grohl.
Yeah,
mishmash.
But I mean, most of this album is inoffensive.
Yeah, but not for that station though. There's a difference in market there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they won't even play Paul Kelly's heavier songs.
Yeah. This, for me, like, it does get better with time and investment in time. I didn't need as much of a lead into it as Brendan did because I was going in there pretty much expecting anything. So it didn't bother me that there was something, you know, and I'm not as invested in Slipknot in particular as Brendan is either. So for me, it's a bit easier to just go with a bit of a blank palette and go, okay, cool, I'm just going to take this on its merit. There's some stuff here that's almost Thin Lizzy-ish. Like that vibe and groove and stuff. I actually didn't mind that. I thought it was pretty cool. It's almost got that danceable kind of a rhythm to it. You know, you'll be, you know, nodding your head to this sort of stuff in no time, but it goes anywhere from sort of headbanging to line dancing. That's the thing about it, you know. I thought the lyrics were fun on this. You got a bit of everything. Yeah, you got the fun, you got the serious stuff in there. You got some heartfelt stuff in there too. But I thought this, you know, it all fit. And that was the remarkable thing about it. Like from sound to style and it all, you know, these things have a danger of being a hot mess right quick. And this didn't fall into that. If you like rock music at all, I think you'll find a song at least on this record to enjoy. I think it's a bit of fresh air from him because if he did punch out another wannabe Slipknot or Stone Sour album, you'd be going, okay, well, that's sort of par for the course. I'd rather save those songs for those projects and leave this being what it is. I think it works better in this context of mine. He's doing what he wants. You know, these are things that won't fit anywhere else, and he's having fun with it. And this record is a lot of fun. I even liked the CMFT Must Be Stopped song, just, you know, for purely the dumb fuck. And I'm not even a big fan of rap rock or rap metal at all, which has been well covered on this show before. I didn't mind it. It was fun. Dumb fun, you know, just meathead fun.
Yeah. It's just a good drunk song. You know, if you're a bunch of party with people that don't like metal and you put that one on to try and slip one through.
if Hell Yeah were playing a set and then they covered this and Corey Taylor came out, it'd go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'd be happy with that.
That sort of thing. That it'd work in that context.
It's not a work of art.
No,
I understand.
yeah. None of this is going to tear the. None of these songs are going to be contender for song of the year kind of thing. That's not going to be what you're going to find here. But it is something different from someone who's so known for doing something else.
Yeah.
And I enjoy seeing this side of what he does. I mean, he can like the Christmas thing he does, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is. That's a cool little because he's got some different strings to his bow, and he's getting some stuff out of his system. And I really enjoyed what happened here too. So I thought this was fun. It's not the world's best thing, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. And for what it is, like I said, it grew on me more and more as I listened to it as well. So I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I picked Halfway Down. Everybody Dies on My Birthday. That would have probably been a good lead single.
Yeah.
And Samantha's Gone for something different, a softer track as well.
See, that's one of the songs I didn't like.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, the Maria fight didn't do much for me.
I like that track. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
See, it's quirky. It's a quirky little album. I liked it.
Yeah. But this is what I mean by I said that everyone will find something. We're getting a very diverse, range of thought on this album. So it's one of those ones. Give us your thoughts out there. If you want to spend the time and listen to this one and get involved in the comments, and then let us know what you think of this one too. Because I think there's a lot of conversation around this sort of concept, that can be had.
All right, we finally got through the honourable mentions. Now it's into the top 10 of the audience choice selections for 2020. So it's all voted by the audience, not by us. You'll get our take on things next week. So coming in at number 10 is an Australian band that I listened to for the first time this year, but I know that Tim has followed them for quite some time. We're talking about Chaos Divine. They released an album this year called Legacies, and it went pretty bloody well with us here. I know that Tim and I did it. Did anyone else that's here do that one with us?
No, I wasn't in that.
No? I'm assuming neither of you have heard that album then since we talked about it on the show, no? All right.
Very good album.
It is a very, very good album. It's well worth checking out, and I think it's a well worth... Sorry?
Okay. I'm aware of the band. I think I might have seen them live. I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, check this. I reckon this is right up your alley too, Dave. I reckon this one you really enjoy. Okay. But any further ado, this is our review of Chaos Divine's Legacies album from early this year.
Now to another Australian band. We'll go to Chaos Divine with their latest in Legacies, 13 tracks for 62 minutes. The fourth studio album from the Australian band released October 2020 by Chaos Recordings. I believe they're a Perth band, aren't they, Tim?
Yes.
Yep. Self-produced by the band across different studios in Perth, mixed and mastered by Forrester Savell, with recording also done by Brodie Simpson, Troy Nababan, and Simon Mitchell. This one comes as the band celebrates 15 years together and is touched by band members recently becoming parents for the first time. Go for it.
Okay, so
one of this one. So
if you don't know this band,
I didn't really know this band until now. I heard the name, but not the band.
If you're into heavy music, you should probably check out this band.
Yep.
So how I would describe they do self-describe as kind of a prog band, and I don't know if that's entirely accurate. They kind of have some prog-ish elements to them, but I would kind of put it in the Faith No More meets Parkway Drive kind of thing.
Actually, that's a really good description.
Yeah, because there's a story about that I'll tell you afterwards.
All right, cool.
So, but again,
not safe for camera.
Oh no, there's an old band in Melbourne called House of Thumbs that used to describe themselves as Faith No More meets Miss Sugar.
Oh, okay.
Right, and it was just a stunningly accurate description.
Yeah.
And I kind of, again, because it is a Faith No More type prog, but the hardcore is a very Parkway Drive, Australian hardcore, Confessions, Prom Queen kind of thing. And
I think you've hit that nail on the head, man.
Oh, but I've listened to these kind of bands for a while.
This is much more your wheelhouse.
This is what I love with this band is the songwriting. The way they kind of blend the two styles together is very much, that light and shade, push and pull kind of thing. And using one to complement the other and going in between the two. It's a tried and tested formula. It's nothing complicated, but for what it is, they do it incredibly well. Everything sounds fantastic. The cleans come when the cleans need to come, and the heavy parts come when the heavy part needs to come. Yep. They don't overcook everything. They just give you what you want to hear in a nice, well wrapped up package. And Forrester's a genius in this kind of stuff, and done a very good job. This is a very well polished heavy metal band, and you know, it's very hard to floor this. To be honest with you, like it's just one of those things where, you know, like there's a lot of really good bands in Perth.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm going, fuck, what is in the water over there?
Between Chaos Divine and Ragdoll and Tempest Rising, and you know, there's like these bands that I wanted to play with for years. And you know,
I don't think I've heard much bad music come out of WA.
Yeah, so they're doing something right over there. But this is a cracker.
Yeah.
My only criticism is because of that formula. Listening to it start to finish on multiple listens, which, you know, we're doing for this to review it, like it does get a little bit repetitive at the end of that second listen. But again, that's a minor nitpick. Again, that's not to do with anything the quality of the songs. It's just me getting bored.
And an hour long too, it does tend to weigh into that a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a punishing kind of music. So you know, but again. It's well written and well constructed.
Yeah, it's just fatigue when you're doing it on repeat. So
yeah, but I mean, most people aren't doing that. So
no, exactly.
9 out of 10. Instincts, Unspoken, and Guiding the Gravity were my highlights. It's a very good album.
Cool. Well, we are so far 2 for 2, Tim. I've never really heard the band. I've heard the name, but never dabbled until now. This is that mix of heavy and proggy if you really want to dumb this description right down, but I think you've covered that off nicely on that regard. I think the blending of the melodic vocal and the pitch screams was really well done on both fronts, and there were some good hooks in this as well. I particularly like the subtle harmonies done with the clean vocals over the screams and how they were mixed back on it. But that was also applied the same way in reverse. So you'd have you have screaming with, you know, melodic, nice vocals way back, and then it would push forward to the other way around. And that was a really neat trick. The deep dive listen on this was so rewarding. This whole thing is that contrast between beauty and aggression. This kicks you in the head heaps, but just as equally opens up these glorious expanses of composition, which is fantastic. Intelligent, well-crafted lyrics that really suit all the things that I've mentioned so far on this, and it shows how well written this is and performed as well across the board. And it switches so smoothly between the heavy and pounding stuff to also really groove-based with little moments to catch your breath, all perfectly placed in this. I love their use of space on this record, both in the sounds and the writing. They've done a bang-up job on so many fronts. Like I said before, the deep listen is where this is most rewarding. You can listen to this on speakers and on your cheap earpods and all sort of stuff, but if you get onto really good headphones or put yourself in a room with this listen, there's heaps of ear candy in this. The layering is impeccable. The production, this is probably one of the, like, I know that Forrester Savell is good, but I've always had some sort of critique with some of the tonality on some of his mixes. This one, I don't think I can fault the production in any way, shape, or form. I think for the style of music in particular, this is fucking bang on. That balance this whole thing is about that balance, and it's displayed also in the track order too. I thought there was really smart use of the overall composition and how they placed the tracks, keeping that in mind, which made the album ebb and flow really nicely. For me, it held up well on repeat spins. I was able to spin this one a few times in a row, and it didn't bother me at all, but I do understand what you're talking about in that regard too, is that because it is a punishing listen, it is a longer one too, that it is one of those ones where you will fatigue, but at the same time, not many people are doing what we do, where I listen to things basically 3 times in a row when I sit down to write my review. I don't know how many times you do it, but I tend to do that 3 times.
Yeah, I'll do it at least twice.
Yeah. I always do it at least twice, but 3 times is about where I like to sit with it. So I don't think many people are doing that. Some people will do it because at the same time, they're not trying to critique it. If you're just putting it on, listening to it, and it's just spinning, it's a different experience entirely. So the fatiguing thing will be hit and miss with everyone out there. I don't think it will fatigue too many. I think it's just, us being dickheads and overdoing it. I think the performance is fantastic on this. It has to be for this style of music to work. If you like what you mentioned before with Parkway Drive and Faith No More, if you're going to even dabble in that territory, it has to be good, and they are. Really smart use of the I love how they've got not only the technical side, but also they've nailed that sort of feel side on this. A lot of these ones get really technical and lose that feel, and these guys have kept the feel, which is really well done.
And this is probably, for all we're talking about, the pit screams and all that sort of stuff and that heavy and aggressive and Parkway Drive, it's probably a lot more accessible than a lot of people will think, I reckon. Even if this style isn't usually your thing, this is one that you probably should give a go. And it might even be a bit of a gateway album for you to explore other bands beyond this one from this. I reckon this is a really good record in that context too. In case you can't tell, I love the production. It's dense enough when it's required without burying anything, though, which is really important. And the top end sparkles over the top. The whole balance was just right. This whole mix was pretty fucking special. And if anything, the emphasis this one had on the top end has really livened this up, and the vocals cut through just right with that sort of assistance. It's all that balance. This whole thing is about balance, and this is really well done. The wide range of tones and how they really explore the deep and the high ranges also tie into that. So you got some really cool bottom end, some beautiful top end going on in this. I think this is a really damn good listen. If you like it heavy and or melodic, you're going to find something in this for sure. Right down, like even on the execution side of this, the shortest track on the album being right before the longest track at the end of the album. Like those.
It was a clever decision.
Sorry?
It was a clever decision.
Yeah, that was really well done. That was just so wonderfully executed. Basically, this is heavy without overdoing it. It's progressive, but not so much that it's snobby. It's melodic, but not at the expense of genuine aggression. This is a fantastic melting pot of an album that's really well done. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. I picked Dead River Flow, False Flags, and Instincts as well as you for my standouts on this.
That was number 10. Now we're into number 9 with Armored Saint and Punching the Sky. This is one we didn't do during the year, so we're going to do it right now. 11 tracks for 53 minutes, the 8th studio album from the American band, released October 2020 by Metal Blade Records. Produced by bassist Joey Vera across a few different studios with different engineers. Mixed by Jay Ruston, mastered by Paul Logus. For a band that's been around for as long as Metallica has just about, it's interesting how hard it was to dig up all the information required to do just that on this release. And Dave, we'll go to you first on this one.
Okay, cool. Finally, yay. Armored Saint are one of those bands that I've been aware of for a very long time, but I've never actually listened to one of their albums. And something that's really cool about doing this show is I get to hear bands that I should have paid a lot more attention to a long time ago. But I get stuck in tangents. I get obsessed with bands. I just listen to that shit over and over. So all these bands I hear about, they just fall by the wayside. But considering how much I like John Bush's work in Anthrax, and especially Sound of White Noise, I should have fucking listened to this band a long time ago. And I have to say, John Bush sounds great on this album. It's like he hasn't aged at all since Sound of White Noise back in '93, I think that album was. This is full of heavy riffs. It's got a great use of groove throughout. I like the structure of their songs, and often halfway through, they kind of kick in with a new riff, but it all flows really well. It's just like a real midway reinvigoration of the song. Fuck, there's some great energy throughout this. Great sounding album. The guitar tone is great. There's a song called Bobble, and there's really nice use of a metallic bang in the percussion. Get that little bit of extra heavy punch to that song. I thought it was very cool. Bit of ear candy for the production heads. I don't talk much about production because it's not my thing, but I thought that was very cool. There's not a bad song on here. There's a great flow throughout the album. The song Fly on the Ointment, that just changes gears at the right time throughout this album. It was nice to just kick it down a little bit. That was cool. I'm not sure how this album rates along with the rest of their discography, but 30, 35, 40 years into their career to deliver an album like this, it's pretty fucking impressive. So fans, new and old, should really give this a listen because I found this really, really enjoyable to listen to. 8 out of 10 standouts were Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, Bobble, Do Wrong to None, Fly in the Ointment, and Bark No Bite. Had cool vocals in that one too.
No. Cool. All right, Brendan.
Yeah, pretty much what he said.
You're welcome.
It's a band that I'd never given much attention to, but turned it on and I was immediately interested. John Bush is a great singer, and oddly enough, I don't think Sound of White Noise was his best work in Anthrax. I think We Come For You All was his best work in Anthrax.
That is a damn good album, yeah.
That's more me. This is really good, but it's one of those things is sort of as an old school, rusted on metalhead. It puts you in your sort of happy, comfortable place, which is probably not what they're going for, but it's exactly the reaction it got for me. I was just sort of listening to this going, I like this. I would never turn it off. It's a really good album, start to finish. It doesn't stop. It's pretty relentless. It's got light and shade, but like I said, never gets dull. I had a lot of time for it. I thought it was great. Sounded fantastic. I gave it 8 out of 10. Bobble was another one that I really liked. End of the Attention Span I thought was really cool. And Missile to Gun. So, great album. Loved it.
Huh, cool. Tim?
Yeah, more or less what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like this is sort of that old school, dirty, hard rock based heavy metal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's really well done from start to finish. There's great grooves, great riffs all over it, great melodies. And like if you're a fan of anything hard rock and heavy metal, you'll enjoy this. Like there is barely a dull moment on here. So like, as again, more or less what they said, it's fantastic. Bubble and Bark No Bite were my 2 highlights. 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to be on, pretty much a pretty consistent line here with this one. It's just like when we did the Dickinson versus Halford stuff. It reminded me a little bit of the Dickinson stuff in that regard. It's got a bit of a 90s twist on that kind of stuff, and also a little dose of what you might expect from Halloween, and combine that with the vocalist. And I fully understand why Dave really enjoyed this one. It really does fit into his wheelhouse very nicely. So, riff-driven melodic metal with attitude, well produced. I really like the balance on this and how the vocals cut through. There was some nice punch and grit in it as well, but just enough sparkle to go with it all. It helped to bring the right things and the focus at the right time for the listener. Good push and pull, nice use of panning. Some pretty cool layering on some subtle things in this one too, which was nice. Gives you that little bit of ear candy that they was talking about too. For me, the vocals are the highlight on this record. They're well crafted, not overcooked at all. Johnny's singing within himself, not forcing anything, but still got plenty there to work with, and he does it well. And there was nice harmonies and backing vocals on this too, which was a really nice touch. And the byplay between the vocal and the guitar was a really well done element of what this band brought to this album. It added to the melodic yet ballsy kind of a sound going on here, which fits the mold of this stuff really nicely. I thought the lyrics were pretty good for the most part. There were a couple of clunky moments on here for mine, but all in all, there are some decent hooks in there that will balance it out pretty quickly. It's got some nice rumble. I love the punch in the drums too. Good use of the bottom rhythm section on this one. But overall, it's well performed, well composed, nice album flow. Maybe a song or two too long. Overall, Bark No Bite didn't need to be on this record for mine. I didn't think it.
Maybe a B-side. It would have been good on the B-side.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't think it fit the album overly much. And Never You Fret was another one too that probably could have been cut to make this one just a little bit leaner overall. Because the album starts off really strong, then slowly starts to taper away while Dave sounds another one. I guess we're going to know when Dave hears something he doesn't like. Anyway, look, all in all, this is pretty good. I think it's just another one that's just very well done. It's another very good, solid album. I want to check it out. I'm not convinced it'll make my top 10, but I do appreciate why this got such the response from the fan base that it does have. So 8 out of 10 for me as well. Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, that's a great song. End of the Attention Span as well, and Unfair, my standout song. This one.
Cool.
Now we're going to move along to another review that we haven't done yet this year, so we're going to do it now, and we missed it right around the time the world decided to lose its fucking mind in 2020. So coming in at number 8 for the Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020 is Heat with Heat. 11 tracks, 45 minutes. I'm really curious how this one's going to go. 11 tracks, 45 minutes, the 6th studio album from the Swedish band released February 2020 by Ear Music. Engineered by Pasi Kalpanen and mixed by Tobias Lindell, mastered by Thomas Pleck Johansson. This album is a return to more of their rock roots than the previous record, and this is the last with Eric Brunwald on vocals as he departed earlier this year. Brendan, let's go to you first on this one.
Yeah, never got this band. Still don't.
Yeah, I figured.
It's more of the go to Scandinavia, shake a tree, and a fucking melodic rock band will fall out, and they'll sound like this. It's good. It's good. It's well done. There's some good songs, but I'm going to try and win Dave back here with this comment. It basically, to me, sounds like montage music from Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
it's just the shit playing in the background as the kids are fucking terrorizing training and doing. It's just, yeah. There's nothing in this for me. It's done well. It's well played. They're all amazing. Again, I wish I was half as good as any of them. It's just not my bag, baby. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. It's good, but it's ho hum for me. So it's Come Clean and Adrenaline for the songs for me. So Dave, fix my mess.
All right, now go to Tim first. What Dave blows
I do agree with what Brendan said. Having said that, I think they're better than what your average melodic rock band is.
They're better than One Desire, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think there's more to this one. I think, it's very easy to get caught in the, I guess it's become a buzzword for us, but melodic rock first bands.
Mm.
But I think with these guys, there's more substance to it. Like for me, when I was listening to it, what I found clever was like how, the vocal hooks would get mirrored on the guitar rhythmically, but harmonize with different notes, and then you'd have counter stuff on the drums, and everything would kind of mesh together like that. Like for all the, when you listen to it first up, if you're just listening to it in the background, it can sound very basic. But when you actually pay attention to it, there is a little bit more meat on the bones here. And, for me, once I got into that, I was able to appreciate more the simple stuff. Like, I mean, the vocals they're particularly good as well.
Mm.
And his delivery and melodies are really fantastic. So, like, for me, again, even though this is not normally my wheelhouse, I really did enjoy this listen. I thought it was really well done. And, again, while it does lean into that, melodic rock trope a little bit, I think, if you put into it, it will reward you. So, yeah, Come Clean and Rock Your Body were my highlights. Give it 8.5 out of 10.
Nice. That honestly went better than I expected. Cool. All right. Dave, go nuts.
Blues.
Okay. For many years...
Stay clear of Splash Zone.
I'm sure Andrew will remember for many years we gave Jimmy a hell of a lot of crap for liking this band. It was a running joke for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 2017, they released Into the Great Unknown, and we all had to painfully admit that Jimmy was right. They are a fucking good band. And I think that year this was my number 2 or number 3 album. They might have been just behind Eclipse, because they both released albums that year.
Jimmy
I was really looking forward to this album. I was really looking forward to this, and I have to say they did not disappoint. I am disappointed he left the band, but the original singer, I will try and adjust, but that's a different thing.
Check out the song Rise from this one, man.
I've seen it's out. I'm going to have to give that a listen when I got a chance. I don't want to just listen to it in passing. I want to give it full attention.
Put the old version on, and then put the new version on. Fucking, it's bang on, mate.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Look, if you like bands that sound big, big choruses, big anthems, big drums, vocals that project out as far as possible, catchy songs with strong hooks, then this is an album that you'll probably like. Bands like this and Eclipse, they have enough elements they should be pleasing many different types of rock fans. There's the AOR element, but it's not focused on all the heartbreak stuff. Yeah. There's the hard rock element, but the sound isn't as gritty and dirty as some of those bands. And then there's the 80s element, but they're not a throwback band. They're moving forward. There's no gimmick. There's no bullshit. There's no distractions. It's just great musicians writing the best songs they possibly can. And I think in this moment in age where you've done fucking everything there is possible to get done, you just need bands to hunker down and write good music and perform to the best of their ability. And this band is just one of those bands that deliver in spades. This album was just, it's good for a party, it's good for driving, it's good for drinking, just all around. You can pop this album on and just enjoy it from start to finish. Switch your brain off, just enjoy some cool fucking rock and roll. I really enjoyed this. Killer performances, great songs, 9 out of 10. Standouts were Victory, We Are Gods, Adrenaline, Rock Your Body, Dangerous Grounds, One by One. And I rattled all those songs off really quickly, but as I said them, I could actually hear the choruses in my head.
Okay, yeah.
How fucking good this album is.
Yeah. All right. I want Jimmy to watch this one and get back to me. So, Jimmy, if you ever get around to watching this one, let me know what you think of this.
Yes. We're on your side now, mate.
Yeah, well, I am this time for sure. This is one hell of a swan song for Eric. For his time, he's gone out with a bang with this record. I'm curious as what he'll do next, but this is a fucking ripper. Hooks for days, plenty of balls about it though. Some fantastic riffs, and I love the pounding and the drums. There was great lead work on this that added tastefully to the songs. Plenty of flash in there though. It wasn't all just taste. There was some nice, brilliant, pure playing that, was a good trade-off between the lead guitar and the synth work on this too, which worked really nicely with the style of music. There were little touches here and there of Foley stuff which added nicely, and that combined with the synth was really well used to sort of polish things off and fill things out nicely. I thought the lyrics were outstanding on this. This one where you're singing along with your notes, lyrics and the hooks. You'd go to a live setting, you'll be singing along before the second chorus even is fully complete. Yeah. You'll be into it straight away. I loved the mix. I think the mix is big and punchy. It's fantastic. I love how deep and warm it is at the same time, though. Has great dynamics. Everything's captured and mixed incredibly well. Great use of panning, and I love the tones on this record too. Energy. This thing has it, and it flies by, so easy to repeat spin. There are going to be some live favourites. They've got that, that live moment built into a lot of these songs, which is what this band shines in doing. If you've seen them before, the talent in this band is fantastic in the live setting. And it's not a same kind of album. It's a great little journey that's up to tempo, but it's not boring. If you like melodic rock at all, this is definitely going to be for you. If not, I think like what we found with Tim is that there's enough in this to turn your head. There's a bit more meat on the bone, like Tim was saying. There's a bit of something for everyone. There's some genuine heaviness in this as well. This one, I've always compared Heat and Eclipse, mainly because of Jimmy's input into the show over the years, because he's always banged on those two bands, hand in hand at the same time. I always thought Eclipse were a step above. This puts Heat into the same level as Eclipse for me. They brought the classic into today with their own spin on it. Not a dud song on this. Every performance is perfect. I may be late to this album personally, but fuck me, it was worth getting to. I'm glad it polled so well for mine. It deserved to. It's just a shame we won't see these songs performed live. However, having seen the video with, I forget the name now, but the old singer coming back into the band, he did a very, very good job of it. So I'm confident now. I want to see what the future brings to this band. I'm very, very happy with this one. I think this is very hard to poll. 10 out of 10 from me. We Are Gods, One by One, Heaven Must Have Won an Angel, and Under the Gun. My standouts on this one. So there you go. I find it hard to believe that I'm the top-ranked scorer on that one, considering the grief I gave Jimmy over this band for so long.
You don't give pens that easily, man. That's a compliment to this band. Yeah.
So I think it's the first time I've given them a 10. I think I've given Eclipse a 10 before once, but yeah, first time for Heat. So yeah, very well done. Fucking hell of an album. But now we're going to move on to a review we have done before, so we'll cut away to that in just a moment. We did this one a while back. This is coming in at number 7 for the Audience Choice Top 10 is Testament with Titans of Creation. I think that's a well-loved album all around. Has anyone got anything they want to say about it quickly before we throw to the old review, or are we all...
Yeah, I didn't review it, but I haven't heard the Testament album for a few years, but this one this year was just like, fuck yeah, this sounds like Old Testament, cool flashy riffs, great performances, cool vocals. It just sounded like an old school, cool thrash metal, as you would expect from Testament. So yeah, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, no, it was funny watching Jimmy, because we had to do, with the audience polling, there was Testament, he had to be a tiebreaker. And Jimmy saying there are a bunch of never words and stuff like, Jimmy, listen to this album. You need to listen to this album. And I want Jimmy, after he watches my Heat review, to let me know what he thinks of the Testament album as well. So, Jimmy.
He won't.
You're on the hook. All right. Without any further ado, we'll throw to our review of Testament with Titans of Creation now for you.
So now we get to move on to...
The build up for that. Oh God.
The heavyweight bout of the evening, the headline event is going to be Testament with Titans of Creation. 12 tracks for 58 minutes, the 13th studio album from the American band, released April 2020 by Nuclear Blast, produced by Chuck Billy, Eric Peterson, and Juan Ortega. This is the first time the band have put out consecutive releases with the same lineup since 1992. Fuck me dead. There we go. Tim, over to you.
All right. This is the best this band has ever sounded, in my opinion.
Wow, okay, cool.
To be honest with you, I don't think this band actually sounded good until they released The Gathering in 2000. I mean, prior to that, they've always been kind of shittily recorded with average lineups. And, there's always the first time they had a good drummer on that album. And
Yep.
this is spectacular. I think Chuck's vocals are phenomenal. His ability to have that kind of harshy scream, but kind of not run everybody off.
Yep.
Is beautiful. He's not too high pitched either, and it sits well with those chunky guitars. I thought the way the bass was recorded on this was a real highlight. And playing on it was I don't know who played bass on this, but
don't know.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. The tone, just that nice growly, raspy thing that just sounded beautiful.
Yep.
But the thing that I loved the most of this was the melodies. There were, for me, listening to this, like the first time I heard this when it came out, World War III was just stuck in my head for weeks. So I could not get it out, and it was okay. And there are other tracks on there like this, Night of the Witch, Dream Destroyer. They're just catchy songs, and they're all fantastically well written. And I think the beauty of this too is it's not like the Havoc album where it's like, okay, this is just a thrash album, it's thrash heads and other. I think if you're into rock and vaults and you're into solid hard rock, you could possibly get into this as well, because there is enough laid back, fat back grooves in here as well.
Yep.
It's not all playing a million miles an hour and blowing everyone's heads off.
Yep.
So this is a very good band. Somehow still getting better. So yes, World War III was my highlight. It's still my highlight. It's still a great song now. And 9.5 out of 10. It's just really good.
Cool. Oh, well, Mick, over to you because you wanted to do this one. So this is one you put forward for us. So what did you think of it?
I only put quality forward, Andrew.
Got to pass the Mick test.
I'm a little bit different to Tim, but I, for the majority, agree with what Tim just said. But having said that, I'm finding the band's falling into a little bit of a formula now with their songs that ever since Formation of Damnation onwards, it's almost very similar, just their writing approach and stuff like that. So if you do like that, you're going to love this album.
Yep.
Having said that, I've thought they've been consistently getting better since 1994's Low album. For me, that was a big turning point in the band. Before that, that was sort of like a run-of-the-mill band and used to cop a lot of flack for productions and being a Metallica junior band and stuff like that. That's where they really found their feet. And since then, they've just morphed into something else. They, like Tim said, they are getting better. They're getting more creative with their writing in terms of it doesn't have to be brutally fast all the time. It can be laid back. It can be groovy, some breakdowns, some cool dynamics in general. It's a fantastic album. It also helps having the same lineup.
Yeah.
Now that they've toured 3 or 4 tours together, that really helps when you go to start making a new album, when you know what Gene Hoglan's capable of, for example, on the drums. And then he can add his little bit, well, why don't you do this and do that because of his experience? And then it just filters all the way through. And this does sound like they did a lot of self-editing before they went to the studio to put this one down.
Yep.
Nothing sounds too long. Nothing sounds too short. It's, for lack of a better word, not written for metal radio or anything. The songs are as long or as short as they need to be.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like anything was lost. I thought, geez, this is a fantastic album that I thought was going to get lost, and it has been getting lost due to this pandemic that we're in. It's almost like it's dead and gone, and it's only been out a handful of months, but it feels already 3 years old, unfortunately, with the way this year's gone. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Cool.
The only thing that stopped me from giving it a 10 was it had a lot of similarities to Brotherhood of the Snake, I thought, in terms of writing. I didn't see a lot of growth between that album to this album. Having said that, I think this is a stronger album than the previous. So,
cool.
9.5 out of 10. World War III, Dream Deceiver, City of Angels, and I had to add Symptoms because, of everything that's fucking going on. Everything's a fucking symptom this year of something. So production was fantastic. I mean, a band like Metallica could really learn something from an album like this, because you put this up against Hardwired and this blows it out of the water again. This is how I expect Metallica to sound. And they're not doing it, haven't done it since the Black Album.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Brendan?
I don't think I'd bought a Testament album since The Ritual, which was, 93, 2?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's early 90s. That's 92.
Yeah. Now, I saw him live at the ESPY. Must have been 5-6 years ago, I think.
Yeah, on the back of a sideshow, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sidewave. And it was originally going to be Megadeth and all kinds of stuff, and ended up being Testament and King Parrot, I think. And they blew me away that night. They were great, but I still didn't go and buy more albums, which is obviously shame on me. This is a phenomenal thrash metal album. I was actually... It stopped me in my tracks. I sort of got to a few tracks and went, hang on a minute, and sort of started again because this was way better than I anticipated. And that's purely my own fault for not listening to more Testament albums over the last 15, 20 years. This is amazing. And much like Mick said, it's the sound more than anything else. When the first chord hits, you're sort of like, Jesus. It's such
Children of the Next Level is a brilliant opener.
Yeah, it was just great. Loved it from start to finish. I couldn't have a bad word to say. One of the best thrash albums I've heard since Worship Music. And that made me sound like an old fart, but, comparing to...
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's up there. It's amazing. I also gave it 9.5 out of 10. False Prophet, World War III, and Children of the Next Level. Amazing album. Fucking love it.
Well, I think everything that anyone can say has been covered off in this, but I'll give it a go anyway. If you like old school thrash, this is for you. This band have a very large catalogue that I'm greatly overlooked and need to investigate much further. Not a band I'm all over. I think we need to do a special at some point. It's been requested before about an alternative Big Four, and I think these guys are probably one of the bands for an alternative Big Four of thrash. It's riff driven, it's pounding, all those things. Got a nice dose of melody to go with the energy. So I think Tim mentioned the melody on this as well, which is really cool on this. I liked the production. This sounds great. It's a really warm mix. Nothing is overcooked. For how busy this gets, it punches all the way through, but it doesn't clip. You can hear absolutely everything, which is fantastic. The way they pull back and let each element take center stage at different points in both the writing and the production is also a really good trick on this one. Some nice hard panning. So it's got the old school aspects along with, the modern sounds. And it's done really, really well. Well, Nala is just, I don't know, she's clamoring for attention tonight. I love how clearly the lyrics come through, and that's another trick that could have been left behind, but the attention to detail on every aspect of this is really refreshing for a record like this. The whole thing is just nice depth, layering, really well done. And I loved, on that note, the lyrical craft. I thought there was some fantastic work there. They're not shy in giving their thoughts on particular issues. There's some very topical lyrics in there. Great storytelling to go with it. Very well done. In your face. Really nice. Some very tasty lead work, but I did really enjoy the rhythm section on this. When they break down into the groove, it's just so fucking cool. It's just when they're kicking you in the head, but it's got that swing to it. It's got everything you want out of that sort of stuff, and that's where I really fell into this album in particular. It doesn't need to be fast to be heavy, and this is an example of that for mine. This isn't tame, though, which is cool. Like, it still has more than enough kick. Like, you can say what you want about not being fast, but it's still heavy. This is not a soft album. Some fantastic gnarly tones on this, too, that go really well with the gravelly vocal. I think Tim mentioned, again, the bass tone on this, how there's this really gnarly warmth that just rumbles through in this thing. It sounds really good. I think the only downside I give it is the overall length and pace. It just dragged a little bit by the end of it for me, but it is very good. It just needed a touch more diversity, or maybe a switch in the track order a little bit, just to break it up a little bit for me. But if you want an album that isn't too fast or too slow for that point either, then this will hit the spot for you for sure. I really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I think our standouts are pretty crossed over pretty well here. I got World War III as well, City of Angels and Dream Deceiver as my standouts on this one too. So if you want a few tracks to check out and see if you like this band, then I think we've given you a few here to go over and let us know what you think of this one as well.
Coming on in at number 6 for the Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020 is what happens now is there's a lot of Australian choices in the Audience Choice Top 10 of this year, and I'm actually really, really glad. I think it's the most. There's probably the most we've ever had. It's over 50% of Australian bands in the Audience Choice Top 10 for the year, which is fantastic. That's an amazing result. It means either the word is getting out there and people are checking it out, which is great, or we're doing our job and it's either way, it's all good kind of thing. Like, I'm really happy with this result. So coming at number 6 is Harlot with Detritus of the Final Age. Tim and I reviewed this one very, very recently. We both fucking loved it. So we'll go to that review shortly. But Brendan or Dave, do I review anything you want to say about this one? Have you listened to it yet?
I only listened to it last week. Okay. Yeah, it's. I don't think Harlot's ever done anything I didn't like, to be honest with you. And it's not really normally my bag, that kind of thing. But yeah, what a band!
Mm-hmm.
What a band! I had Extinction in my top 10. Is it Extinction?
Yeah, that was last.
What was it called?
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. That made my top 10. Like I said, that's something that's not normally in my comfort zone. So they're pretty bloody special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dave, did you listen to it yet or nothing?
No, I haven't done it.
All right, cool. Oh, without any further ado, we got a quick thought there from Brendan, and we'll go to Tim and me. Miracle about this album now for you.
I hope you liked this one as much as I did, because we're going to move on to Harlot. And this is one of the highlights of the year for mine. Harlot with Detritus of the Final Age, 10 tracks for 48 minutes, the 4th studio album from the Australian band, released November 2020 via Metal Blade Records, produced by the band and Julian Renzo at Legion Studio Productions. This is the band's first, with Glenn Traherne on drums and Lee Bartley on guitar. This album follows on from the previous 3 albums in Origin, Proliferation, and Extinction, and also has a guest spot from Brian Hope of Cephalic Carnage on this one as well. Over to you.
All right, so for mine, there's been a few really good thrash albums this year that are top 10 contenders. The Testament album, the Havoc album, the Mr. Bungle album, and you could probably add this one to the list as well.
Yep.
So if you're a thrash connoisseur and you have not heard this one yet, it's time to undo that very quickly. There is
For thrash heads, this band should be a household name by now.
Oh yeah, they are. I remember seeing these guys on a Sunday afternoon at the Tote. Was the first time I saw them. Maybe like a decade ago now, but like they were very good then, and they're even better now. And they're fantastic. There is hardly a weak point on this album for me. I think everything, for as fast and as brutal as it is, nothing really overstays its welcome. Everything's sort of placed where it should be placed, but at the same time, it still sounds very fresh and original. I think, this is actually, let's talking about Havoc, I think this is a good contrast to the Havoc album, whereas that album you had a lot more of your trebly tones and your push back vocals. This one's a little bit more grunt, a little bit more dirt, a little bit more of a death metal influence, dare I say, but still very much in that thrash metal mold. I think as you said before, these guys should be a household name because again, as for thrash metal albums go, I can barely fault it. It's got everything. So I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I took off half a point for I don't know why, to be honest.
Give yourself a little bit of headroom.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically. Well, I thought it was again. I mentioned Havoc because I thought it was probably equal to that. I think I gave that 9.5. So
yeah,
I think that's fair. Idle Mind and Primeval were my highlights, but it's unfair to name highlights because start to finish, this is a cracker.
Oh yeah.
So if you're into this stuff, you should definitely check this out because they should be a much bigger name than what they are.
Cool. Now, Idle Mind was a standout for mine on this one as well, so we're in agreement already, I think. And Harlot for mine are one of the best thrash or metal bands in general going around, and this album continues their trend of putting out damn solid albums. This is 4 fucking really good albums, and every time they drop something, it's usually a contender for our top 10s, and that's been pretty much a staple for these guys over the years of us doing the show as well. Every album they've done has wound up in someone's top 10s, I reckon, every year. They are that consistent. If you like it aggressive and heavy, you've come to the right place for this one. Riffs for days, and I've always loved Hudson's vocal and his lyrical delivery. That sort of stuff is fantastic. If you see him live, it is something else, but on record, he's a beast. Don't get me wrong, the live stuff is the same. It's intense, but him as a frontman is hilarious if you get it.
He's an interesting fellow.
Yeah, very, very smart bloke. A lot of love for him here. This one, though, compared to previous releases, there's a few twists in the tale, and the use of melody is a little more prevalent. The new guitarist has certainly left a mark on this one as well. It's a refreshing spin without losing any of the soul of the band. So if you're an existing fan of the band, don't worry. This will really still hit the same spots for you. It's just there's a bit of growth and development that's happening, which is all organic for this band. I'm really impressed by the flow on this, how this was tied over from song to song, and the breaks between were like milliseconds was really well executed. It was a very subtle thing to do, but it made this thing fly. This hits hard, but when they break things down and use a little more groove, like I'm a big sucker for the groove element of things. You know me, when it comes to the heavier side of things, the groove is what's going to get my attention more than just fucking punch you in the head over and over again. The groove on this will be a lot of fun to watch live. You can imagine the pit just heaving to this sort of stuff, and we're able to go and see those sorts of gigs again. Fuck, I want to see a lot of these songs played live in the existing set they've got. They've got a lot of songs on here that will really add to their live set. I love the guitar work on this, and the lead work. You got some flashy stuff, but you got some really subtle stuff in there too, and that was really well done. The way the drums at times almost added like a Foley element. Like there's one song where it's almost like a marching rhythm being played on the drums. That was such a cool trick. The bass drum was nice underneath it all. The vocal layering puts me a little bit in mind of Devin Townsend. There's particularly on the last track, The Time to Kill Is Now, that opening scream, very sort of heavy Devi or maybe even Strapping Young Lad kind of moment there for it. All over on this, fantastic performances. It's incredibly well written. This whole thing has clicked big time. Punchy mix. Everything sits exactly where it should be. You can hear everything and nothing is overcooked. The way this hits is perfect for this style of music, and I love the way that panning was used to accent certain things on this release. It's got the right kind of grit, great tones, polished just enough to take the burrs off. It's really well done, and I love the impact of the whole thing, yet it also allows you just enough time to breathe. So well done. The little touch in this stand out compared to previous works. I was talking about how this one has a few different bits and pieces into it. There's an acoustic moment at the beginning of Nemesis and in the middle of Misery of the Dead. Those were fantastic. The lead solo, which is from the guest spot on Primeval, was fantastic as well. And there's also two epic tracks, one 7 minutes, the other one 8 minutes plus, I think it is. The harmony moments on the song Grief, there are a lot of little standout elements on this record, which really make it interesting. This whole thing puts me of mind between sort of Newstead and Slayer, across between those two bands. It's kind of where I bounced on this one. I don't know what you think of that comparison.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like I said, there's growth and development, but nothing takes you out of it. You could put on all four albums back to back and they'll flow cohesively one to the next. Basically, if you like thrash and aren't already over this band, unfuck that today. There are 4 albums in a row with not a dud moment on any of them. These guys are rightly carrying the torch forward, and I hope they end up, like I said, as household names. They should be already, but in the underground, these guys should be just about king of the fucking pile for mine. They're a hard act to beat. This is the best bits of all the titans of thrash over the years distilled down into one band for mine. 9.5 out of 10. The only reason why I didn't give it a 10 is because for a thrash-based metal album to get a 10 from me is usually pretty fucking hard. This is as close as it's going to get for me, probably. So there you go. Idle-Minded, Misery of the Dead, Grief, and Bring on the War. But fuck, like you said, every song on here is fantastic. It's hard to... You're right. It's not fair to pick standouts because this whole thing is worth a listen. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Well done to Hudson and the boys in the band on this one. Hopefully we get to see you play a show soon. Coming in at number 5 is another band we have done already. I think got one review left for us to do here before we move on. But yeah, coming in at number 5 is a band that it was cool to do the review with you guys. I think I did the same panel we've got today, did the review for this one. It's Toe Hider with I Like. Yeah. And it was cool because I followed that band for so long. It was good to get, fresh ears
onto this band and get the new impression that it leaves on people. So it went very well for us here while the dog loses his shit. The other dog out there is barking and Caesar decided he has to go and let the whole world know about it, which you can hear, and Nala's doing it too. So without any further ado, we'll go to our actual review of Toe Hider's I Like It. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
Let's move on to something we should like, and that is Toe Hider with I Like It. 12 tracks, 63 minutes. The fourth full-length studio album of Mike Mills and Andrew Saltmarsh, released September 2020 independently. Pretty sure this is self-produced, although I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it is. And this is a collection of the most popular songs as chosen by their Patreon supporters. The best 12 of about 40 tracks went into this. How about we throw to Tim first on this? Tim, what do you think of this one? Do you like it or no?
Confession time, I've never listened to Toe Hider before.
What?
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Really.
You had no idea what you were in for, did you?
I had no idea what I was in for, and I listened to the first track, and I was like, okay, it's kind of like Dragon Force on steroids, if that was possible. And then the next track was like a tribute to Lenny White and Earth, Wind and Fire. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? But the more I listened to it, it was like, it's very much based in sort of 70s prog kind of, yes kind of stuff. And for that reason, I thought once I got past all that and could actually sit down and listen to it, I actually started to enjoy it. But I'm listening to those first few tracks, I'm thinking, like, there's such a wide variety of styles contained within these tracks. Outside of the band, I don't know who this album's for.
Patreon.
I mean, if you are a guy who's very much into Yes and Rush and Images and Words, Era Dream Theater and all that kind of stuff, there's probably parts of this album that are going to shit you to tears.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's parts that you're going to love. So I personally liked a lot of it, but I also was annoyed by a lot of it as well. So, like, for mine, give it a listen because you'll probably find tracks you'll like. But at the same time, there are probably going to be tracks you don't like as well. So anyways, The Ultimate Exalter was one of my highlights, and Go Full Bore. And I gave it 7.5 out of 10.
Nice. All right, Dave, follow that up.
With Toe Hider, if you're familiar with his albums or their albums, the only thing that you can be sure about what you're going to get is that you don't know what you're going to get. It never ceases to blow my mind how many different styles of music this guy can play, and he can just switch from one to the other seamlessly. I've never actually seen him perform live, and I would love to because this always just blows my mind.
Pretty sure they're planning on touring this when they can, so...
That'd be cool. And the first time I put this album on, I just heard the first song. I don't live that far away from work. I had it on in my car. Heard the first song. As soon as I got into work, just bang, it's in my head. It's instantly memorable. And I don't know many bands that can do that with the first listen for pretty much any song on this album. You can pretty much just remember it. It's about as unique and distinct as you can get with music. I can't think of another band I could compare this to. Like Tim said, there's going to be stuff that you'll like, stuff that you don't like, but there will be something for everyone. So definitely give it a listen if you like music of pretty much any genre from any decade. And ultimately, the song's a good story. He's a really good storyteller. And he's got an element of fantasy, of make-believe, and it's almost like there's a humorous side without taking the piss, but he's exceptionally talented, but he doesn't take himself seriously.
Yeah.
It's really refreshing with somebody who is this talented. I gave this 9 out of 10. My standouts were Well Get It, Moon and Moron, Concerning Licks and Pharaohs, and How Much for That Dragon.
Yeah, that was a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Brendan, over to you.
Yeah, I don't have a long history with this band either, unfortunately. It's one of the names that keeps flying around, but it's just not something I'd sort of got around to listening a lot. But I really enjoyed it, like quirky as all hell. And, you got the prog side of it, but I also even got some Zappa kind of vibes to it where it went really sort of quirky and strange. And it's anything but a boring listen. It's not it's not one you're going to put on at a party. It's probably not going to earn you a lot of friends unless a lot of your friends are like me, and then it will. Yeah, look, I thought it was really good. I didn't kind of know what the fuck was going on for a while. But then when I sort of got into the groove, I really liked it. It's mad, and I'll go back to it because there's. I only listened to it a couple of times, and there's a lot more to take in that you're not going to get on only a couple of passes. But I really dug it. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. Bats Aren't Birds was my favourite. Rancorous Heart I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It's wacky as all fuck. Check it
out. No, this is an outfit unlike anything else I think I've ever heard in my life. Mike Mills, who is the mastermind behind this whole thing, has been one of the most insanely talented musical individuals, not only in Australia, but I think in the world. He is one of a kind. He is out there, and I love it. Lovely guy to chat to as well when you get a chance. If you know this band, which, you know, Dave and I do, then you know what you're in for. If you don't know this band, you have no idea at all what kind of a wild ride you're about to put on when you put this record on. This band will take you on a journey unlike any other. This is a project where pretty much anything goes, and I've yet to find a band, even Zappa, that goes as wide-ranging as anything goes as this one does. From one extreme to the other one, it's nuts. You get black metal through the pop. It's all here and it all works so damn well. You know, the 70s prog is the heart of it all, but it goes so outside. It's not colouring in any lines at all. It's just fucking splat. I love the production. This sounds great. For a self-produced record, I think it is. This is amazing. And because of all the tones, all the styles, all that sort of stuff, this is not an easy thing to put together at all. And it's mixed brilliantly. Like none of this is easy. The album flow, the whole lot, none of this is an easy thing. This should not work. This just should not work, but it does, and it's
the balance of the keys and all that kind of stuff's incredibly clever.
Yeah,
you really don't think it should work, but it does. It's really well done.
It's amazing in that regard. I love the lyrics. The storytelling is fantastic. Moon and the Moron is a perfect track for today. There's plenty of fun in this record, though, at the same time. So you do get the somber moments and you get the fun, lighthearted stuff too. So hard to believe it's a one-man band, pretty much. The performances are fantastic. Again, want to see this live too. This is, if you're a fan of anything from Night Flight Orchestra through to Queen or Devon Townsend, you should give this a go. This is the mad scientist of rock and metal in a nutshell. There's going to be something here for absolutely everyone, like Tim said, and there's going to be stuff here that's going to piss you off as well. But for me, having a history with this band and knowing what I was in for, I fell in love with this straight away. It's got riffs, grooves, melody, earworms. Like the hooks on this are fantastic. Like that Dragon Tooth hook, my fucking God.
Yeah, it was cool.
The whole thing just smacks of amazing attention to detail, which is fantastic. And I can listen to this over and over again, being a fucking nerd on this sort of stuff, just for the execution alone. It's not going to be the heaviest thing we ever discuss on this show, not by a long way, but it is fantastic. It's one of those ones that you have to check out for yourself. No one's opinion is really going to matter until you sit down and listen to this, but I encourage everyone to listen to this record. If you've somehow never checked out this band, there's a lot to go through. Please do. I gave this a 10. I fucking absolutely loved it. They haven't put out anything bad for mine. Just nuts. And if you guys that haven't got a familiarity with this band, check out Mike Mills performing Wuthering Heights in the original key. That's nuts. Yeah. It's awesome how well he did that. But anyway, I got this 10 out of 10. Go Full Bore, the guy that no one really knows, the Ultimate Exalter, and How Much for That Dragon Tooth, my standouts, although there are no dud tracks on here. This is fantastic.
Coming up next, coming in at number 4 was In Malice's Wake with The Blind Faith. And Dave, we've got to send you to the naughty corner again, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But you don't know what you're missing in the naughty corner. It's lots of fun. So don't judge me.
I'm glad the camera's off. All right. We'll see you shortly.
I'm always scared of when I'm going to get cut back in because you don't know what you want to see.
I'm scared too, but that's the danger of doing it the way we do it. So we'll see what happens next time around.
Oh, that's a big deal.
All right. So, going back to gallery review for me. All right. So, we're going to go to the number 4 choice, the audience choice, top 10 of 2010 before we get to the top 3. In Malice's Wake with The Blindness of Faith, 10 tracks for 53 minutes. The 4th studio album of the Australian band, released November 2020 independently. This was really recently released as well. Produced by Chris Melk at Monolith Studios, released by mastered by Thomas Blakey Hansen at Panic Room Studios. This album was preceded by a video of the title track, and it has obviously gone over very well with the fan base. So, like I was saying, this is only released a matter of weeks before we did the polling, maybe 2 weeks before we did the polling, and it went right up there really quickly. So, well done to all involved. Brendan, you go first this time around.
Love this band. Don't think I came across them until the last album when it was whatever it was called, In Lightness, Dark. No, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's into light and light.
Yeah, something like. And they're amazing. And again, this is normally a bit too sort of heavy and a bit too screamo for my taste, but Jesus, can they perform, these lads? Mm-hmm. It is something special. And this album too, I think, as good as, if not better than the last. I think they just know how to make a good album. If they're not,
this one,
Tim, this is more you think. What are we calling this genre? Hardcore, metalcore? What is it?
Thrash.
I've got like sort of, deathy influenced thrash.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like Harlot.
Yeah.
It's kind of
these guys to make like.
It's kind of in that Harlot, the heavier side of Testament kind of ballpark.
It's a funny thing for me. Like in this, like I said, in this sort of genre, that's not normally the kind of thing I listen to. If these guys aren't, in the best 5 bands in the world I've heard in this genre, then I'll go, hey, these guys are bloody amazing at what they do.
These guys and Harlot together, fuck me dead.
Yeah, just great bands. DeMelco does an amazing job at capturing it. He keeps the separation, which is really hard to do in this genre. Everything pops. Great songs. Like the compositions are just wonderful. Like just. Enough light and shade. It's still heavy as all fuck, but enough light and shade so you don't zone out. It's just, great album. Great. I can see why it's, they might have motivated their fan base and got them all to do this, and good luck to them because they deserve it. They've released something that's a pretty bloody good piece of work. Only on a couple of listens, I give it 8.5 out of 10. It could go higher because it's amazing. The Blindness of Faith is an amazing track. It does really. It's amazing. And Houses of God I really enjoyed as well, but not a dull moment. Loved it.
Cool. All right, Tim.
Yeah, more of the same. So I got down sort of, deathy influenced thrash in the Harlot sort of Testament vibe, as I said before. But if you like, even if, because it does have, those deep guttural vocals, and even if you're normally off-put by that, but you do like that sort of thrashy kind of music, it's worth checking out because this will be one that does win you over. The songwriting is spectacular, the musicianship is spectacular, and like what I love is the attention to detail in the sense that every note is like, I don't know how well thought out it is, but it feels like it's well thought out, like everything that comes next is exactly what I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
And as a listener, I just made it such an this went by like a breeze, and it was fantastic to listen to. I wish these guys all the best because they deserve the biggest audience that they can get, and I hope they get that audience one day. So, bravo, well done. 9 out of 10. I took a point off. Fuck knows why. I don't know. Blindness of Faith is a cracker song, but it is a cracker song in the context of the album as well. It does set up the rest of it as well. So,
opens at 9.
By all means, even though it is the opener, listen to the whole thing because the whole thing is great.
Well, yeah, it's been covered off. This is heavy, dark, and brooding. If you know this band, you know what you're in for. And we were talking, Tim and I, about we want Harlot to become a household name at some point. I reckon the same thing should be said about In Malice's wake. They are that fucking good and need to be recognised for how good they are. It's got for me that black and thrash intensity about it. I love the mix. The Melko has done it again. For fuck's sake, big and punchy, but everything is so crystal clear. It's amazing what you can do with this sort of music and good production kind of thing. This is why, forget the mattress on the wall shit. This is what I want to hear. This is fucking brilliant. There's some little bits of synth in this, and the way it's been layered in is fucking amazing. It adds to the atmosphere, makes it dark. makes it a richer tapestry of sound. It's not over the top. It's not like it's a prevalent influence on this at all. It's so far back you'll barely notice it, but it's so well done. But around that, you've got blistering riff. The double kick is fucking on with this. Got a nice aggressive harsh, got all sort of vocal to go with it, but not devoid of pitch either. It's not just screaming for the sake of it. There is a tonality to it. Where that vocal tone sits is really well done in the contrast what is happening with the rest of the mix too. So it really punches through nicely.
That's where the synth is important.
Yeah,
because it sits in that tonal range, sort of in between the vocal and the cymbals.
Yeah.
And just fills that space really nicely.
Mm-hmm. And it allows the vocal to bounce off of it in the responses, which is really cool.
Really well done.
Yeah, that was. I listened on the deep listen because you get that when you really sit and you hear it, it's like, fuck, that's well done. Such a subtle thing, but added so much to this record. I love the way the lead guitar was done on this. It was nothing overplayed. It pushed out front to grab your attention, then came back again into the pack. Nothing was overdone. Beautifully played. And I like the note choices too on the guitar harmonies. That was really, really cool. Some fantastic tones. I really enjoyed some of the tricks employed on the drums. There were some really cool tom hits on this that were captured and mixed in. That was like fucking attention grabbing for me with drums. Like fucking, that was cool. The menace in the lyrics is absolutely palpable. I love the punch this packs overall. Some nice crowd moments in this, so you can feel the energy for the crowd. Build up moment is in this too. And I don't know, there was nice Foley space, all these things to break it up. Everything gets a little moment to shine. It all works really, really well. It's a bit of a longer listen, but it's not punishing. It does fly by. And the tempo change is an overall track order to keep that flowing for you nice and smoothly. But when this has the groove, when this focuses on groove, that's when it really got my attention. And I fucking loved that aspect on this record most of all. I think the composition is fantastic. The mid-song break and things like Unbound, Sinful Light is beautifully done. The same with the final third of Houses of God, where it really settled into that groove. So that's a track you were talking about. Like that last bit of the song where it just fucking kicks over. It's like, fuck, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that moment. There was a spoken bit into Dyer's One. There's even some bongos used in this fucking thing. This has a really deep listen, ear candy thing on it. It's fucking impressive. You listen to, we're talking about black and thrash or whatever else, so you're saying bongos. It should not fucking work. But it does, and it works brilliantly well. Basically, if you like it heavy and dark, but not too far down the rabbit hole, this is definitely one for you, and it's rewarding on the deep listen. A little bit more accessible than most, I think, and the more I listened to this album, the more I fell in love with it. This is a fantastic. Fully appreciate why it polled so strongly, and I think it'll poll in a few of our top 10s or close to it coming up later on as well. 9 out of 10 from me. Unbound, Simple Light, See the Light, and To Die as one for my standouts on this one. So I think Dave missed out. Bring it back in.
Whoop. Where is he?
Join. There we go.
There he is.
Let's see what we get. Oh,
hey.
Nothing's happening.
Hey?
Nothing sus was happening.
Of course not.
Damn it.
Anyway, you missed a hell of a review. We all loved In Malice's Wake, so I reckon you should go and check that out.
Yeah, from what I've heard of the band, they're pretty good. So, yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Awesome. All right, from one Australian metal band to another, albeit different styles of metal, we're going to go to number 3 now of the Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020. I'm fucking glad this one got this high. Well done to Vanishing Point with Dead Elysium. Fantastic release. Well done. Congratulations to this band after, I think, 6 years between releases or something like it was for this. They had to get for the ringer to this one. So well done to them and for the audience for polling for it so highly. I'm glad so many people listened to it and enjoyed it too. We did review this one in the past. I'm not sure who did this one because it was more toward the start when we were doing things on Zoom.
Yeah.
That was a good album.
It was us 4, was it?
I think it was us 4.
Yeah, well, there you go. I forget who did what now. There's been a bit done. Believe it or not, with the crazy year, we actually managed to accomplish getting a few things done. But anyway, here's our review of Vanishing Point, Dead Elysium. Hope you enjoy it.
Let's move along. Let's go to the first review for this week. Then we're going to talk about Vanishing Point with Dead Elysium. 10 tracks for 59 minutes. It's the 6th album from the Melbourne band, released August 2020 by AFM Records, only about a week or so ago as we do this now. Produced by Dean Wells. This is the band's first album since 2014 and comes after a trying time for this band, including a significant lineup change. Going to throw to you, Tim. Are you ready to go first on this one?
Yep.
Go for it.
I thought this was a very quality heavy metal album.
Yep.
Really well put together, spectacularly recorded. I thought the vocals were fantastic. It came through really crisp and clear. Wonderful melodies. Got a great voice as well.
Yeah, Silvio's great.
Yeah, and I mean, this band's kicked ass for a long time, and you know, they are old faithful. I mean, they've obviously had some bumps along the road, but for mine, you wouldn't be able to tell listening to this because I thought this was a really quality release. I think Salvis also was my highlight.
Okay, cool.
I thought that was a really well put together song, really well put together album. Fantastic work.
Cool. What'd you give it out of 10?
8.5.
8.5. Cool. All right, Dave, work up to you now.
On this, the composition is outstanding. This is definitely right up my alley. The symphonic elements work perfectly with the metal elements, and it'd be cool to hear the orchestra stuff just on its own because that in itself is cool. You add it to the metal part, and that on itself is cool, but together it's just out of this world. Fucking awesome. Right up my alley, like I said. It's mixed really well. Often with symphonic metal albums, the metal can drain out the symphonic or the symphonic can drown out the metal. They don't really gel all the time, but this is done really well. The balance is perfect. There's a lot of emotional depth in the lyrics, and the vocals are, as Tim said, the singing is outstanding. It's always good. These guys are killer live. If you haven't seen them, unfuck it. You're going to get a good show. Musicianship is great, killer guitar riffs, and once again, the orchestration brings a whole new level to the riffs. Killer melodies, and the various parts just flow seamlessly from one part to the other. The songs never get boring. They're just amazing music. I gave this 9 out of 10. My standouts were Recreate the Impossible, The Healing, which has a killer guitar solo, Dead Elysium, and The Fall.
Nice. All right, Brendan, over to you.
Okay, this power metal thing's not normally my kind of vibe, but geez, it's hard to overlook this, and it's hard to say anything bad about it because it's bloody well done. I couldn't really pick a fault with it in any way. Like I said, it's not the kind of thing I'd go to all the time, but much like when I saw these guys live, not really my thing, but just couldn't take my eyes off them. They were bloody impressive. You can't fault the musicianship. You certainly can't fault the recording. I think it's captured incredibly well. The songwriting and structure is all phenomenal. As I said, not the kind of thing I'd play, but it's a taste thing, nothing more than that. I can certainly appreciate the talent going on here because he's fucking out of this world. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. The highlights I had were Salvis, The Fall, and Dead Elysium.
Okay, cool. It's going well so far. Mick, you going to continue that trend?
Maybe. I have been very critical in the past of Silvio's voice, but geez, the band sounds energized and refocused to the point where I think this blows Tangled in Dream, which is the one that I liked, out of the water. What I do like about it is the darker guitar tone, or maybe it's a D tune or something like that, which really modernized and sort of brought them into today's sort of sound. It was sort of like a cross between Lacuna Coil's more recent stuff and Dream Theater in spots, which is what they've always done. So it was a good progression. It didn't sound dated, as it's already been touched on. The production was fantastic. Everything just came through the speakers so good, This band's won me back just on this release. There was one that we did a few months ago and I didn't think much of it at all. But this seemed to be a good length. Even though there's a lot of longer type songs, it didn't feel tired. I thought it was great. It has everything that you love about Vanishing Point if you already know the band. Just with a lot of great new songs. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I couldn't find any flaws in this at all. I like the fact that they didn't oversaturate the sound with the keyboards, which has happened on earlier albums in the past. Everything was really tastefully done and really awesome, like I said, 10 out of 10. Count the Days, Recreate the Impossible, and The Ocean were my standouts, but really it's from top to bottom, it's a great album.
Wow, cool. Well, we're off to a good start on this side of things tonight. For me, it's just good to see them back. And the long time between drinks since 2014, and whenever we've had sort of requests to play these guys or to talk to them, which we're going to try and line up an interview with them soon too, but to try and do anything to try, catch up with them since 2014, the only thing we've had to sort of deal with is the Extravaganza, the headline for us, which, by the way, they fucking knocked it out of the park on. So, I think Australia in general has a bit of an underrated melodic metal or symphonic metal scene. I think these guys are right up there across the board for what we have here. Like, this has everything you want. You've got the riffs, the solos, the synth, the pounding rhythm section, all that sort of stuff. The vocals are fantastic. I like the way all the elements have come together on this, and they've got a really cool use of space in their writing too on this record. It's really well written, really well performed. You can't fault any of those things about it. Again, the lyrics, I think Dave focused on those before as well. They're fantastic on this. The whole thing is well crafted, just all around. But I like the hooks. Like, there are some really catchy hooks, but not only in the vocals, but also in the guitar work. There are bits of this that just sort of stick in your head and just stay there, which is really well done. And it's like the lyrics have deep and meaning, and there's a bit of, heartache and stuff in there, but the actual overall feel of this thing is sort of an uplifting kind of a feel. It feels good to listen to this. Like, you put it on and it brings your mood up, as opposed to a lot of the other stuff where they try and bring you down a bit, I guess, for lack of a better term. It's just got a good bit of heart. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, more major than minor kind of thing, and the note choices or something. I don't know. There's something about it that's just a bit more positive and uplifting. I think the mix is pretty damn good too. I like it's a bit of a tighter mix than I normally like, but it does work for this style of music. It does have a nice amount of depth and space where you want it. It does open up nicely where things are supposed to, though, too, and it's cool how the layering is sort of put everything in its right place and things sort of come up and down as required to suit the songs. And the tempo changes along with the track order to make this album fly by. So, Mick was saying that it's not a taxing listen at all, and it's not. Time just flies by when you listen to this, and you can have it on repeat. It's comfortable as all hell.
I just hope it doesn't get lost in the COVID shuffle. There's been a lot of great albums that they're coming out and they're just disappearing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's the lack of touring or whatever, but this is one that I hope it does stay around somehow on social media or gets its just desserts, because it's fucking killer.
Well, hopefully we're helping that process by doing this one, Nick. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully.
The vocal harmonies on this, and the guitar harmonies too, for that matter, but the use of harmony on this record was the standout element of this for mine. But there was little bits of beautiful moments for everyone to shine through, but the harmonies were what really caught my attention. And it's nice to have Jennifer from Divine Ascension make a guest appearance on Recreate the Impossible. She fit in really well on that song too.
Now, is that who it was?
Yeah, it was. There you go. This whole thing is just a really classy listen. I like the artwork as well. All in all, if you like melodic metal, if you like melodic metal, get on this one now. And I think it's been covered before, but they sound energized on this. So hopefully this is a sign of bigger and better things to come from this band. I reckon they've locked in and got it really well put together now. Hopefully more rather than having another 6-year wait between albums for mine.
If it takes 6 years to write something like this, I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, okay. Quality over quantity, I'll pay that too. We'll see what happens. It's not in our hands anyway. For my score, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoy this one. Recreate the Impossible, Dead Elysium, Free, and Count Your Days are my standouts on this one. So
I think virtually every track is a standout between.
Yeah. We've covered it all off. I don't think there's anything wrong we can say about this album. So, yeah, please do check it out. Get in the comments and let us know what you think of this one as well. I think probably this is the one to check out, I would say, out of what's coming up in the rest of the episode. So, moving on.
Now we're back. Time to find out who came in second for the Audience Choice Top 10 in 2020 now. It was all pretty close, all told up, until you get to the number one spot, which, sort of went fucking leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else pretty quickly. But this one, once it started to cut away and define its, place as the second album of the year as far as the audience was concerned, it was there pretty quickly and it was locked in pretty tight. So we're going to go to the Audience Choice of 2020. Number 2 in the Audience Choice Top 10 is Mr. Bungle with Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. Fucking fantastic. Did you listen to that one, Dave?
No, I haven't heard it. My mate at work.
You should listen. You should listen to that.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, Dave.
It is well worth.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, no,
it's a cracker.
I think this is going to make a few top tens when we get to that in a few minutes' time. If we go through this one,
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but I tip this one's going to go pretty high. But anyway, without any further ado, here is our review of Mr. Bungle's Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. I hope you enjoy this one as much as we did.
we're back from our little intermission. Coming up next for you, we have Mr. Bungle with the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. 11 tracks with 56 minutes, the fourth studio album from the American band, released October 2020 via Ipecac. Produced by Mr. Bungle at Studio 606. This is a re-recording of the band's first self-released demo from 1986, along with some new tracks. This is also their first album in over 20 years. Their first to have performances from Dave Lombardo from Slayer and Scott Ian from Anthrax. There's a nice little guest spot from Rhea Perlman, who people might know her from Cheers on this one too. Brendan, let's see how you go on this one first.
I had the first single pop up in my algorithms. Have you guys look on your face?
Oh,
Hello.
Yeah, you saw it there. Yeah, it's back and forth a bit. Yep.
Oh God, should I keep going or not?
Give it a go. We've got audio.
All right, the first single came up my algorithms. I listened to it and thought, "Fuck, that's really up my alley. This is going to be interesting." So I was really looking forward to this album. As it turns out, this was the album that I think 2020 needed. This is one of the best sort of, and I'd have to call it almost a thrash metal album I've heard in fucking ages. When I heard the single, I was expecting, the rest of it, dare I say it, to be a Mr. Bungle album.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't get one.
No, it's not what you think, is it?
Yeah, I got a metal album, and a metal album that I fucking loved. I played it like 3 times straight, and I'll keep playing it. It's one of my favourite releases of the year so far. I've struggled to fault it.
Wow, cool.
I don't know where the fuck Rhea Perlman was, but I'm going to have to go back and find that again.
She did a voiceover on Anarchy Up Your Anus, I think it was.
Well, of course she did. But yeah, straight from talking to Woody and Coach behind the bar to
nice.
No, awesome. I can't fault it at all.
Cool.
Everything about it, like Patton's vocals, fantastic.
Yeah.
The band, amazing. I thought it sounded great. 10 out of 10. Fuck it.
Cool.
I liked Raping Your Mind, Mathematics, great name for a song, and Spreading the Thighs of Death. And that's only because I didn't think of writing that song first. That's the kind of thing I wish I wrote.
Cool. Tim.
Yeah. Again, I think Brendan actually summed it up when he said I was expecting a Mr. Bungle album and got a thrash metal album.
Yep.
I think there's like the choice of Dave Lombardo and Scott Ian in hindsight, with how this album turned out, as a stroke of genius. Because really those two guys are probably perfect for it. But really, this is the sort of album that made me want to play music. That made me want to participate. I cannot fault this at all. This is brilliant. The performances are spectacular. Everything's recorded really well. Everything sounds great. You can hear everything's spot on perfectly. Like, the writing is spectacular. Like, this is one of the best albums of the year. This is for sure a top 10 on everybody who listens to it.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to fault it. I thought, for the thrashier albums, I thought the Testament album from this year would be hard to top, but I think this one's topped it pretty comfortably, which is saying something because I love that album too. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Raping Your Mind for mine as well is a highlight, and Bungle Grind.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, this is going to be funny because we're going to get some different highlights on this one. I'm not the biggest connoisseur of Mr. Bungle. I have listened before, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I know all the stuff. You just sort of have an idea in your head of what to expect from Mr. Bungle, and this isn't quite that, as has been covered off. It's much more thrashy than I was expecting. What caught me right at the start was the production. It was beautiful, punchy yet bright. There was grit. The panning. There was panning on absolutely fucking everything, on the drums, the guitars, everything. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm in heaven right now listening to this because the mix was fucking amazing. All the separation was there. I mean, for how busy this is, you can hear absolutely everything. It's it's got really melodic stuff, but then you've got the eclectic stuff in there too, which you do expect, but then the heavy stuff, and it all sounds fantastic. It all flows from one part to the other. There's nothing that's clipped or left behind or buried or whatever. It's beautifully done. I thought there was some really nice lead guitar work on this, especially like you've got Trace Bruins working with Scott Ian in such a fantastic way on this. If anything, this is a much more straight ahead thrash album than I think any of us expected, but they worked really nicely together. So in having, Dave Lombardo in there as well was, like you said, fucking well done. That rhythm section of Dave Lombardo and Scott Ian is a very good anchor that allowed everyone to just build around it. Mike Patton soars over all this, as you expect. His aggression is beautiful too. Like all the energy. He's
a genuine superstar.
I reckon he's probably the best pure vocalist of the modern day.
Yeah.
For what he can do, how diverse he can do things. Okay, here we go. Brendan's going to disagree. That'd be another hot topic for another time.
He's up there.
He's definitely up there.
He's
what he can do.
I think that's karma freezing you, Brendan, for a minute.
Yeah, I think so. Tim and I are in agreement, and we're working just fine. I love the instrumental opening. Then there was a narrated track. There was use of La Cucaracha in this. This whole thing is fun. It's aggressive yet entertaining. I want to see this live. I want to see them play this cover to cover live. This would be a ball. The timing changes are there, which you expect from this band, but the composition's fantastic. Not a lot of clean vocals overall, is more aggressive, but when they do use that and the groove as well, it does get broken up really nicely. But the lyrics are fantastic. Mike Patton is one of the best in that regard. I'd never heard this before. I know this is a re-recording of old songs and stuff like that. That's probably the only reason why I didn't give it a 10 is because it's not all brand new kind of stuff. But it feels like a new record. The energy is from today. Like none of this feels old at all. And the music and the lyrics and that are still relevant. So this is originally a lot of this from 1986. It's held up how many years later? It's doing really, really well. So fucking testament to what they did back then too. Basically, if you like your metal a little bit different, then get onto this. It's a nice little positive surprise for 2020. It's probably, like you said, an album we needed this year. This and probably the new AC/DC album, hopefully, if that lives up to expectations, will be ones that will redeem a lot out of the shit show that's been 2020. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I picked Erasist, Anarchy Up Uranus, and Hypocrites, or Habla Español Muer. That was my choice.
That was the one too.
We've got a few crossovers and a few different ones there.
Let's see how this one goes down. This is the final number for this year's Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020. We're going to go to number one without any further ado. We've done all the hard work. Now it's time to announce who came on top. And it was a pretty clear-cut winner once the polling started. And in this year, with this band releasing an album, it's their 17th album overall, it was always going to happen pretty quick with the audience being the way it is. So fair play to all involved. And you know what? For it being what it is, it's a fucking good album. We're talking about AC/DC with Power Up. That number one, that was the most popular album of the year for 2020 as far as the audience was concerned. It is a very, very solid album. Who did the review here?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you three did.
Okay. Tim, have you listened to it at all? Or?
Oh, I gave it a whirl, yeah. It's like out of the newer AC/DC albums, it's probably the best one in a lot.
What do you define as newer?
Pardon?
What
I don't know, like 1990
after 96, yeah.
Typical loop.
Anything released after I was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Tim, making us all feel very old now.
You're welcome.
But yeah, no, this was a very, very solid album, and it is one of the better ones they've released over the last sort of probably decade, I would say. So I'm glad this one did as well as it is. In the year that this was, with 2020 being the way it played out, I'm not surprised at this result at all, and I think it's fair play. So anyway, here's our review of AC/DC's Power Up. Hope you enjoyed. Go to the main event of the evening, which this week it absolutely has to be. There's no doubt about it. AC/DC with Power Up. We would be remiss if we didn't make this the main event for this week as we sit down and do this. 12 tracks for 41 minutes. The 17th studio album from the Australian band, released October 2020 by Columbia and Sony Music. Produced by Brendan O'Brien at Warehouse Studio in Canada. This album sees the return of Brian Johnson, Cliff Williams, and I'm getting that right, unlike other reviewers out there who said Cliff Burton. And also Phil Rudd on drums. And it's the first album since the passing of Malcolm Young and is intended to be something of a tribute to him. Who wants to go first? Either of you two want to go first?
Yeah. Okay,
Dave, go.
Right. Needs more Axel.
No, you can't do that. Oh,
I had to. You'd be surprised if I didn't.
I would, but fuck.
Yeah. Straight up, much better than Rock or Bust, but not as good as Ball Breaker. That was a fantastic. I think that's their last great, fantastic album.
We should do a full-on AC/DC special at some point, I think.
Didn't we do one?
We did a special, but we didn't go anywhere near the full discography.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, this has what was missing on Rock or Bust. It's got that Malcolm vibe. And because they used a lot of his music that he left behind, it was definitely missing. And it just shows how much he contributed to the band over its entire career.
He is the main guy in that band.
Yeah, he really is. He just gets all the focus, and they're two singers, obviously. But yeah, he was the backbone. He was the quiet guy out the back, but he was definitely the solid glue that kept everything just chugging ahead.
Yep.
Yep. As expected, you got the good catchy riffs and the solid playing. Solos are a little bit restrained from Angus, but I think that's down to age, and it kind of fits the music because
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, as much as I enjoyed this, I kept waiting for that AC/DC high, fast energy, and you just didn't get that song that really popped all the way through. But I think that's kind of down to their age. They're not going to dish out another Thunderstruck or Who Made Who or something. But
they don't need to anymore either.
Yeah, so they just delivered a solid, straight-up rock and roll album. No, good for them, just to get some of Malcolm's music out there again. The other thing that was really missing for me in this, and once again, it's probably down to age, but the double entendres, they're so prominent in so many AC/DC songs.
Not enough dick joke.
No big balls. He's got you by the balls. The balls were gone.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean balls are gone from the music, just from the lyrics. But, you know, when you're in your 60s and you're doing the double entendre jokes, I mean, Steel Panther might be able to do it, but it's not a good look.
Yeah. I think even Steel Panther in the 60s were pushing it.
Oh, you can guarantee they won't give it up. But, yeah, some of these songs, they kind of make me think this was left over from that album or this was left over from that. It kind of like
probably was.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like a best of with new songs. It was like, yeah, that came from that era. But kind of the vibe I got through all of it. Especially Demon Fire, that riff really reminded me of Safe in New York City. Yeah, that was
that was a good song.
Overall, I gave it 8 out of 10. Shot in the Dark, Kick You When You're Down, and Demon Fire were standouts.
All right, cool. Brendan.
Yeah, look, there is no doubt this is an AC/DC album.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, you guys, I think both of you weren't huge fans of Rock or Bust, where I quite liked Rock or Bust. And
no, I liked Rock or Bust
after listening to
a degree. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good for even the fact they got it out was impressive to me. I think I gave about an 8 for that one, I think.
Yeah, so I listened to this and I went back to Rock or Bust, and I still kind of leaned towards Rock or Bust. But I think the only reason is the guitar sound. I think the thing I think lacking from this album, and I like this album, and the songs are good. Like I said, it's a really good AC/DC album. Any fan of the band's not going to put this on and turn it off. Like it'll play through and it's great. But it's lacking some gravel. You know, like it's the distortion on the guitar tone is just not fucking there.
Not as brittle as in past times.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, you think of the AC/DC albums, we've covered a few, but you listen to Let There Be Rock and stuff, you know, where the guitar sounds like a fucking chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, this it's you know, it's borderline Knopfler-esque. At time, but that's not fair. But it's,
I was harsh before with Orianthi. Fuck, man.
But it's the guitar sounds a lot nicer than I'd like it to sound. You know, it's still well balanced and stuff. I just want a little bit more distortion and crunch. You know, it's just not quite there. But yeah, it's an AC/DC album. It's a good one. There is some really great songs on there. There's a couple of fillers, but I think most AC/DC albums, bar a couple, have a couple of fillers on there. So that's nothing new. Yeah,
but
they're up to album
more
17.
surprise on most of their albums as well than you expect.
What's that?
There's always a bit of a surprise on each of their albums as well, which everyone big critique of AC/DC. It's the same album. It's not the same album. There's always something different in every album. This one has that.
But this one lacked, I think Demon Fire was the one that really caught my ear, much like Emission Control on Rock or Bust. I still really dig that song every time it comes on. Like that's an absolute ripper. So it's when they find that really sort of poppy, not poppy, but that riff that's really got a bit of grunt behind it that can sort of drive the song
groove
along.
kicks in.
Yeah, and I'd like to hit a bit more of it. But look, I still really enjoy it. It's fun, and anyone's a fan. I mean, Jesus, if you're going into AC/DC's 17th album when they're at this stage of the game and expecting to have your head fucking blown off, you're probably a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Look, I liked it. It's not the best album I've ever heard, but it's great. It's fun, and probably one of the best album covers I've seen all year, if not for the last few years.
Great,
I love the cover. It really, really fucking jumps out at you. I think it's a ripper.
So simple, but so good.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's a bit of a stage set up, neon, beautiful, and just really well lit up. It's great. I gave it 7.5 out of 10. Kick You When You're Down, Realise, and Demon Fire.
Cool. Well, the mighty AC/DC are back in the saddle again. And this is probably one of the few great points of the year that is 2020 that we get to get another album out of this band when all signs leading up to this point were not promising for quite some time with all the chatter going on around things. For me, this was like a comfy pair of jeans or a well-broken-in jacket. This band just feels right. They aren't hitting the heights of the past, but like you said, if you're expecting them to, you're a bit of a dick. At this point in time, I think they need to do is be able to put out solid albums, and this is another one of those. And who are we to sit here and tell them they shouldn't do a thing when they've done what they've done? Their legacy is well and truly etched in stone. So long as they don't come out with a complete left-of-field curveball and everything sounds good, sits where it should, they're not going to release a Lulu album. We know that from AC/DC. So you know what? They will be able to continue doing what they do for as long as they want to do it. And I think they've handled it all on balance pretty well. I'm glad to see Brian and the rest back in the band. I think that does make a big difference with the Phil Rudd back in on drums was a big thing. And that makes a huge difference to what has happened on this record for mine. But anyway, I think the tones are great. You know who this is as soon as you hear it. And I get what you mean about, it's like a bit of a chainsaw side to it, but you still know that this is AC/DC as soon as you hear the opening riff to any of these songs. Brian's vocals are on fire on this, which was cool and nice to get after all the chatter as well that we've touched on. He's just back a little bit in the mix, but, the right amount of reverb on it allows it to cut through really nicely. Great balance all around as you expect with this band in the production. The cymbals might be a touch washy, me being picky, but nothing too bad. The backing vocals, as always, sit where they should and have that bit of grunt to things overall. This has all the traditional hallmarks of another AC/DC record. Riffs, licks, and solos. The rhythm section is solid as all fuck on this. The blues has never left, and they do it so well. But I loved some of the tempo and the groove shifts. Like I said before, Phil coming back in really is an element of this band that is so important. The way he sits, where he plays, the timing of things is so great. And Cliff on bass complements him really incredibly well. Like this was I think the rhythm aspect of this was possibly better than Rock or Bust because Stevie has obviously fit into the groove a bit better on this one too. So that whole anchoring it down to give Brian and Angus the platforms they need is a bit more secure. And so they've not launched, but it's just felt like the foundations were more solid on this one. I thought the layering was cool in this. There's a little shift in focus on different songs. Nothing sounds exactly the same from song to song. I know that people won't agree with that. Everyone says, AC/DC sound like AC/DC. And I think that if you actually pay attention to the records, there is a lot of diversity, subtle, but there is diversity there. And for the shit show that's in 2020, I'm just glad to get a record out of this band personally from a fan's point of view. It's not the greatest thing ever, but they've still got plenty in the tank for mine. And if you like this band, this will feel like they're coming home again to you. I think that, it's worth a listen for sure if you're a fan of this band or their genre. If you're not, this won't change your mind at all. But I think this is also one of those ones that in a few years you'll look back on this one a little bit differently than you are when it comes out today fresh and everyone's looking for something fantastic. I think this is a really good, solid album that, while it doesn't have the Back in Black effect, but fuck me if you're going to get that album again. Getting one album like that in your career is fantastic. You're not going to get two. And they probably did with High Idol, to be honest. But the way they've managed to keep it all together and get another record out, and how it still feels like AC/DC with everything that's gone on between now and then is, if you're a fan, you'll get it. If you're not, this won't do anything for you. But I really enjoyed it. This is one of those ones that's just, nice to have as a bit of an anchor point in this shit show of a year. 8 out of 10 from me. No Man's Land was my big standout, but then also Shot in the Dark and Kick You When You're Down. I think that one, the rhythm play on that was really cool. That was where the rhythm really jumped out and it's like, okay, that's really cool.
That was one that felt the most like an AC/DC song. That was like, fucking
So I really enjoyed that one. So I think overall, we all pretty much in agreement. It's like it's an AC/DC record and it's a good one. So, you're getting what you get. And that's it for this episode. That's it for the Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020. The first time I've done as a standalone piece of content. Hopefully you've all enjoyed our way of doing it this time around. Hopefully you've had a great Christmas or are having a great Christmas as we do this one this year. Is the reason for all this fucking shit. Being on the set behind me here, I was going to say we should all wear Christmas hats. It's too fucking hot for that today, so fuck that for a joke. I do have them around here somewhere. But no, that's it. Thank you all to the people that voted on the polls that are happening on this. And it was pretty intensive for a little while there. We got a lot. There was something like, I don't know, there was a shitload of releases initially in the initial list that was broken down. I think it was something like 70 or something that was nominated. In the end, we started to cut it all down and get it there bit by bit. So it was an intensive process. So thank you to everyone for being involved in the polling. We'll do it again next year in November to December as well. And hopefully you've enjoyed the way we've done it this time around. So as always, our details are in the description of this episode, whether you're watching or listening. Find us and follow us on your preferred social media platform. And also please check out our Patreon page for any support you can give us. We greatly appreciate it. There's a lot there to go through. We've got early access, giveaways, Zoom sessions, and that. So reviews for you as well. So you name it, we've got something coming up. And on that note too, Tim Caterson, because January is Torture Month, he wants us to review the Miley Cyrus album.
No.
Hold on.
Thing is, I'm going to get him to do it with us.
Okay.
Yeah, the Miley Cyrus Metallica album, or
No, the Miley Cyrus new one, the rock album she just released.
okay,
I'll give it a go. She can sing. I'll give it a go.
yeah, I'll listen to it.
Okay, I'll give it a go. So we'll. So Tim, this one's for you coming, and we're going to rock you in.
Can't be worse than My Chemical Romance.
No.
It can't be worse than Billie Eilish.
It can't be worse than Tommy Lee's album this year.
Oh, fuck.
Fair point.
But anyway, that's it for us. So a big thank you to our wonderful sponsors as well in Squinting, Screen Printing, Old Cult, and Rockstar Finance. And don't forget that we are still on television as things stand today. So watch us on Saturday nights on Channel 31 in Melbourne at 10:30 p.m. and then Thursday nights on Channel 44 in Adelaide at 10:30 p.m. as well. Our next special episode is actually next week, which will be our top 10. So we're going to see how our lists stack up to what the audience chose this week going through. There are heaps of categories we've gone through, probably more than ever before. We keep adding to it every year as we go through it. So hopefully you'll join us for that one same time next week. But yeah, that's it. Now it's time to go to the bin. And I know that Tim and I are prepared, but I don't know about anyone else. So Tim, over to you.
I don't know if this is a niche bin or not, but video game developers releasing clearly unfinished games.
Yeah.
So it's happened a lot lately, but it's happened very spectacularly recently with a game called Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, really? Was it incomplete?
So a week after it was released, it had a 50 gig update. And then 2 weeks after, it was another 17 gig update. And today they've issued an apology, the developers, for basically what happened is they deliberately didn't release any clips of it on the current generation consoles, so the Xbox One and the PS4, because the game was so complex that those machines couldn't handle the speed and slowed the frame rate down to about 15 frames a second, which is not good. And they've just said they'll be releasing patches, so the game will be done in about February.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but again, look, here's the thing. Most likely what's happened is, look, this game has taken 8 years to make. There's a lot of money being put.
Man, come on.
Yeah, but chances are they had a deadline before Christmas, and Sony would have been up their ass about it, and they thought they could either get a game that was going to lose money and possibly bankrupt the developers, and if they release it in February, or release it just on the newer consoles, or they could, go for the cash cow and hope they don't issue too many refunds. And they went for the latter, and it backfired spectacularly. But not all publicity is good publicity. Really, finish your games first. I know developing is hard, but yeah, it's not worth it.
Okay, that's a different one for us. All right. Brendan.
Let's back the bus over this bitch again. Triple M, get fucked. 6 months of fucking lockdown in this fucking state, and you couldn't even manage to get a local band on once during the fucking day. You pieces of shit. You all the music is the noise between the ads, and you can get fucked as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Absolutely get fucked. I'm done.
Yep. Just don't listen to it, mate.
Yep.
However, you can redeem it.
I drive a 20-year-old fucking Hilux. It's fucking got radio. I've got no choice.
Triple M can redeem this if they play a certain band. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's right.
They won't, and you both know it. You both know it.
Yeah, very well.
It'll be funny to hear them play it just to see you two eat crow after the fact.
I will suck some dick if I have to.
I'll just be blowing bubbles up Rosie's ass if fucking it makes a difference. Jesus Christ.
Okay. This is Playing with Fire with Dave. How are you going to be able to pull us out of this pit?
Okay, to sum up 2020, I am putting social media in the bin.
Yeah, that's fair.
The internet can be a wonderful thing. It can connect people. It can be a wealth of knowledge. If people want to research, they put the work in. They can find fantastic stuff. Unfortunately, it seems people just jump on the internet to have their own opinions validated. And as soon as you find somebody else that thinks the same as you, it's no longer an opinion. It seems to be a fact. And there's a big difference between a fact and an opinion. But
that's your opinion, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's also an observation.
Man.
Yeah. Watch The Social Dilemma. That's a fucking fantastic documentary about some of the crazy shit that can happen via social media. It is really
well done.
And it's by the developers of all these networks, some of the early developers. So yeah, check that out. But fuck, there has been some insane shit this year, and I put it all down to, it used to be everyone was entitled to their opinion, but sadly, no, you're fucking not. You're not entitled to an opinion anymore because your opinion somehow becomes fact, and your fact is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of misinformation and bullshit that's spread by social media needs to go in the fucking bin. So, yeah.
You're entitled to your own opinion so long as we're all arguing from the same fact sheet.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone's free to be whoever they want, but as long as you don't have a differing opinion to what everybody else is, I don't fucking understand the world anymore. I'm going to fucking bin as well. I'm sick of it. Yeah.
We'll be happier in the bin.
Be easier. We're all going to turn to Oscar the Grouch at this rate. Jesus. Dave's having a good one. All right. So for my bin, I did touch on this earlier on tonight, and the wind and the weather. You wait for it to be nice, but your Christmas decorations up. It all comes up really looking good, and then the wind comes along and fucking starts knocking over all your inflatables.
Yep.
Fuck off. That was painful. In the year that is 2020, you just put them up, and then you go and fucking do that. Fuck off. Also, for the record, our dumb dogs, Caesar and Arl, a pair of them, for eating a fucking advent calendar. Fuck the dogs that can go.
Do they have chocolate?
Yes.
Well, what do you expect?
It's actually, like, if they weren't as big as they are, it'd be a problem. I mean, they ate, but yeah, fuckers. He's just
That's all right. Just give him a slice of bread and he'll be fine.
Yeah, no, they're all good. Like, it never impacts them. Like I said, they're that big, it doesn't really matter. But it's just
have a loose poo after a while, and it'll be it.
they get it out of the yeah, no, I did have a dog once a long time ago that it was a dog that was as big as the block of chocolate and shaped the whole block of chocolate, so I think I'll get a stomach pumped. But so, you know, that was one dog, but these ones, you know, they'll spit out dogs. So
at their size, it's not going to...
That dog, it's not going to hurt these dogs at all. So it was not a concern, but it was just frustrating because now you can't buy a fucking calendar to replace it. So it's like, oh, fuck. There goes that part of the fun of Christmas for us this year, courtesy of two four-legged idiots. On that note, it's time for us four idiots to sign off. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Hard Rock Show. Back again, same time, same place next week with our top 10s of 2020. Hopefully you've enjoyed this presentation of the Audience Choice Top 10 of 2020, and we'll see you all again soon. Until then, though, I'm Andrew.
Tim.
Brendan.
I'm Dave.
As always,
drink up.
Fuck gold.
Fuck yeah.
Not to mention I took a half point off that album.
I don't know why you did.
They had two fade outs during guitar solos. That really pisses me off. Like, I was listening to that, and you just faded out, cunts. That's why a half point came off.
The Girish and the Chronicles lose a half point because they faded out on guitar solos, and Brendan was enjoying wanking off to it.
Well, I don't like fade outs anyway, to be honest. But fading out during a guitar solo is just a fucking travesty.
Really? I don't mind fade outs. Fade outs are okay.
There's a hot topic: fade outs versus the end of a song.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right and end.
I like an ending too.
Okay, that is an interesting hot topic. We should do that one.
It is because it's senseless and stupid, so it's perfect.
Exactly. It just fits right into our wheelhouse.
Oh, I came out my fucking nose.
I know it's going to the end of this episode now.
Excellent.